went past that, and it like there's you can you can do dumb stuff with like the Dark RPG, with Silveri Calcos, with the Kyber World Tourney, and
But
all
acknowledging the Silveri Calcos
all the
season might mean Konami has to think about armor cards.
yeah, exactly. They should.
I mean, I'm real. I feel like they could make more kinds of cards. They've already kind of made like pseudo things. Of,
Well,
like,
and also I want to say, like,
illusion
the
cards
other
and
thing
so
about
on, but
Yu-Gi-Oh
that's-
is like, if they're concerned about making typery too typey, or what do they said like a few years ago? What it's officially called abilities, I think, is like flip, tune, etc. Just don't do that, as there are several monsters that are that are basically flip monsters that are not typed flip, and there are different versions of the tune rules and other bullshit. I don't know, like it's one of those things, chat. We are up and live, by the way. The audio's going. It's one of those things, chat, is where you happen. That if you made me like run Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG for a day, I'm sure I'd come up with a million, ways to streamline everything. Hey, for starters, I would, I know that a lot of people focus on, like, the thing about, oh, all the tunes have different subtypes. Nah, errata, all that shit. There'd be so many erratas in PCST. I would just be like, no, cut that shit out. I don't care that nobody's wants to buy Crab Turtle. Actually, I think the Crab Turtle ritual worked anyway, but, like, every old useless ritual that says can only be summoned, no, that's clearly not intended. Fix that. And stuff like tunes, just like remove the concept of the tune card text, that says like, oh, we can't attack the turn we're special summoned or something. Just move it in a rulebook. Get out of there.
How do you guys feel about the thing that supposedly it's kind of a nod to like Western card design of like you need a land as in the field spell and then you have to wait a turn for it before it attacks?
I feel like that does feel intended because all the tune bullshit was from the like original manga arc, and they are cards that do work like Magic the Gathering. But that doesn't matter. Just what I'm saying is just standardize the tune part of the tune effect. Can attack directly when you have Tune World. Can't attack the turn it's special summoned, etc. Put all that in the rule book. Save space in the text box.
Honestly, I would like Yu-Gi-Oh! Too.
The other thing with the tunes as well is both the manga and the Duelist Kingdom. They were arcs that did not know what the card game was going to be, so they just did shit, and then the card design had to backfill. How do we make the tunes work?
Listen, it was doing all the weird shit most non-battle manga do. Of like they put weird multipliers in there.
Well, and a lot of it also was, and we've discussed this before, this is a thing that only works in the context of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a narrative, does not work in the card game. Except it does work in the card game because people don't like to read. But, so much of the power of tunes was that, basically, treat that duel Kaiba has with Pegasus as, like, Kaiba just refuses to read what Toon World does. It's like, or
Can't read the English.
They've got too much effect text buried in so that he can't find you can't destroy this guy by battle or card effects or whatever it was hidden in there, and you're just like, it's the hidden effect problem, which yes is real. If the accessibility of Master Duel as a formula by which people can mass record and stream playing a fuckload of Yu-Gi-Oh! Games works, people do that shit all the time. So many times in Master Duel, despite the fact that Master Duel has so many ease of use things to prevent you from making mistakes that are easy to make in real life. You can't fuck up your God, I can't remember.
Your small
FA?
world chain.
FA. You can't mess up your FA levels because the video game just counts them for you.
Yeah, you can't mess up your FA level.
You can't small world incorrectly. You know which is the imperm column. Hey, also, chat, this is going to be a slight aside. I won't go into it too much, but anybody who's bitching about Tenpai, literal skill issue. Tenpai is a deck that lets you play 5 billion hand traps and stuff. If your opponent draws 3 hand traps, 2 board breakers, and is going second, and you still can't set up a board through it, skill issue. You just suck. You're bad at Yu-Gi-Oh! You didn't draw better than your opponent. How do I know? I've been playing Tenpai on Ladder and Master Duel. It's awful. Yes, you can run like 15 non-engine cards. What do you do when that doesn't do anything? My opponent, I played against a guy who was playing like fucking Inferno. I thought I picked the appropriate moment to Nibiru, which has a little counter on it, which is why I brought it up. Doesn't do anything. And some people might be, oh, you can play D-Shifter. Well, guess what, assholes? If my opponent doesn't just fold when I activate D-Shifter, a significant chunk of your Tenpai interactions require monsters in the graveyard. How do I OTK better when my shit is also banished? So yeah, I think it's just ultimately I think it's just law of large numbers. This is something MBT talked about with like pet decks. Like, I just think because Tenpai was so cheap and everybody thought it would be really good, you just see so many Tenpai games, and you do. Like, it's true, if you have no interaction and set up no board, Tenpai will OTK you literally every time. And their field spell does actually, like, make it hard to interact with them. But this is going to sound really weird of me, but it is actually the third Sangan Summoning that gets you. If you don't draw Sangan Summoning in your opener, you have to activate an ashable effect to search for it.
I will also say, speaking of law of averages, another MBT posting. Hey guys, did you know that Evil Eye got a WCQ top?
When?
Last week.
Yesterday?
This weekend? Yeah, yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah,
what
this weekend?
Okay, so how much of the deck was Evil Eye?
All of it.
Yeah, it was an Evil Eye deck.
There were several people in the comments saying this list hasn't changed since they got support like 2 years ago. Or 3 years ago.
I've thrown it in the field Portrayal for making it easy to grab. It's an Evil Eye deck.
Yeah, I'll pull up the deck list instead of this guy.
Like,
you're on low latency.
It's playing your staple hand traps and consistency stuff. But aside from that, it's an Evil Eye deck. It's like there's no bones about this one.
You may have seen something on the screen briefly, chat. Don't worry about it. I'm pulling up a different image for right now. And yes, chat, I hope you're having a fun time in the App Zone. We're okay. Hope everybody, if you want to be here on a night that can be a little stressful and serial for many Americans.
Yeah, I guess that is 18 Evil Eye cards in a deck. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We've had this conversation a few times in recent field betrayals about like what constitutes a deck, but you cannot argue that this deck is an Evil Eye deck because like I think we have mostly gotten over the curmudgeoning of, oh, you're playing too many hand traps. How you're playing too many meta cards, and like they are hand trap staples. They are unfortunately required playing for
I think
decks.
it does still annoy me that there are some flavors of deck that can get their like core mechanic down so lean that you can literally run like half your deck as like hand traps and other interaction.
It's under half. It's only 18 cards.
But like, there are still like cases,
18. And only one of each of the actual like links associated with it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's your core engine. What I'm just saying is like, also if this is after years and years of refinement. Also, by the way, for no reason at all, I'm sure, but X.com is not loading fast. Clearly, should I start the night by making those jokes? Yeah, sure. I don't give a fuck about Elon Musk. Clearly, Elon Musk is too busy getting drunk with Big T to care about his website, if he ever cared.
Twitter loaded up good for me, so I can just send you the
Elon Musk heard me talking shit. I just said Turby Hawking. That's Elon Musk trying to sell X.com. But I've got it now. All right. cards. Let's see. Yes. So as you can see, this is exactly 40 cards. You've got 3 of your core, 2 Evil Eye guys who do stuff, 1 of the Basilius. You have some interesting blends of hand traps. But you've got, a good spread, like 2 and 1 of the equip card, 3 of the field spell. You're running like the big T. You do have the Omni because that's searchable, and a couple of other support cards. And it is interesting that like most of your monsters that are non-engine here are just hand traps, and also, like I said, very interesting, very fun ratios, like 1 Ghost Mourner to 2 Ghost Ogre, right? Like they're clearly like thinking about it, and then the rest is just cards that go places. 2. I really would want to see how what this guy was doing. That like, oh yeah, 2 big Zeus is the way.
The other thing too is like we don't know what the side deck is as well, and
yeah, it's
like,
not posted.
Who knows what sauce is in the side deck for whatever Evil Eye is running to deal with some nonsense.
We have some very funny Xyz packages in here, but yeah, like, and Evil Eye I think is a deck that is like, they tried to make it better by giving it more monsters, but ultimately I think that the ones they've got in here are all you need, because it really revolves around the loop of Cerziel and Equip Spell. Only one to run Prosby, like lots of little different things. But yeah, like I said, it's annoying that, like I said, some decks can get so lean that like their half their deck is nothing but specifically like hand trap monsters, which even this isn't that bad. It's like, let's see, 3/3/3, so it's 9, and then there's like 4s, so yeah, it's like 14 also on just hand trap monsters. And yes, I know Imperm can be a hand trap, but that's not what I'm talking about. Also interesting design to go Veiler and Imperm. I guess you just want to make sure you've got something, And a lot of it, I think, is also
with how Evil Eye, how Evil Eye plays. It probably is just a critical mass of negation fodder, so you don't get out tempoed because of how much your deck revolves around.
Yeah.
Life point.
Yeah, it's a wacky one, a wild one. All right, let me bring up my other image then for the people at home. So this is a very interesting card that is being shown off for Rush Duel. Rush Duel is doing a funny case of, I guess they have a lot of, like, I would almost say, like, pseudo-nostalgia. Like, obviously they had Legends and stuff, but they have revitalized several, classic Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes, including, several GX-era ones, and, started circulating them. There are, Cyber Dragons, and I think there's Ancient Gears in Rush Duel, but one of the things they are recently working on is Heroes. Also, so someone in chat asking, wouldn't Cross-Up be good with all those hand traps? First of all, I think I wanted to say it as a joke, but I'll also say it here seriously. I think there's a decent argument that Cross-Out is never good, actually. Cross-Out is necessary in a world where game-ending cards like Max C and some of the Mulcharmies exist. You'll notice that Evil Eye list literally isn't playing any Mulcharmies in their hand traps as well. So
they likely just don't care about the Mulcharmies with how lean their deck plays.
Yeah, with how the deck is, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna summon from my extra deck one guy. Cool. Hey, if you get enough spell traps on board, your opponent might have to actually do the funny shuffle back. But like, I think there's a decent argument that Crossout isn't actually good, as evidenced by the fact that almost no deck in the TCG plays it, whereas you still see it occasionally in Master Duel because Called By is at 2 and the Max C exists. I actually got, talking earlier about me playing Tempai, I actually got Crossouted off for Max C earlier today. But, like, Crossout's an interesting card, but also, honestly, I think just ratio-wise, they don't have the room for it. what's Crossout at in TCG?
I think it might be at 2 for some weird reason. Let me look it up.
Yeah, because I know I think we have Called By at 2 right now, or at 1, God forbid.
Yeah, the thing with Crossout is that so it's not showing on the database. Let me check the wikis. But yeah, like the thing with Crossout, it's limited in the OCG but unlimited in TCG. So we have it at 3.
Yeah.
And like you said, without cards like Max C and like just game and like game ending cards that you need a response to. Cards like Crossout and Called By to a lesser extent, just aren't as prevalent in the TCG space because we're still playing hand traps and stuff for negations, but it's not like the as it was Coleman Master Duel started, the Max C tax of just playing like a package of
playing
8,
your
9
literal
cards in your
maximum
deck.
of you need to run 3 Ash because Ash beats Max C. You need to run 2 Called By because you're only allowed to run 2 Called By, and Called By beats both Max C and Ash Blossom. And I think, is Crossy at 1 in Master Duel? It's also at like 1 or 2.
It might be at 2, same with Called By, but yeah, like
whereas in the TCG, Called By is at 1 because Called By the Grave is actually a infinitely better card because it's a quick play negate that is also a DD Crow. Like the banishment, the lasting 2 turns, like the amount of funny things you can do with Called By is really good. I find it annoying that the TCG like had it at 1 for like forever, and I think it still does. Especially
it's
with
the forever problem. It's the forever problem of stacking cards at 1 that like I understand the concept of putting this card at 1 because you don't want it to be at 3, but putting it at 1 just it causes this psychological gap in a lot of players' minds.
I guess it does serve the purpose that I think the TCG intends it for, which is, you want your Called By like activation to be so important to you that you only use it to like pin hand traps or other hand effects or other like high value effects, and you don't use it for the more annoying thing, which is you use it to pinch an opponent's like activation in graveyard for like their engine. And yes, that's something you have to worry about, but also lots of decks don't care, as evidenced by the fact that you have to play around shit like Bestials, DD Crow, etc. But yeah, Crossout's in a really weird case where like the TCG just doesn't give a shit, and I think if we'd actually been in like a proper Tier 0 meta for a long time, you might see Crossy right now. The thing that's going on right now is that this like regional season is insane. Like, even though Yubel Fiendsmith and Azamina Snake Eyes are probably like the actual top tier decks,
we're seeing so many random bullshit.
We're in such a weird case where I think people understand what the quote unquote best decks are, but they're so expensive anyway that everybody's just like, fuck it. If I have to spend money, I'll just buy, Fualos, 3 copies of Fualos, and then I'll play whatever I want. I'll play Tenpai for cheap, for pennies. I'll play Mimigul. I'll play a fucking Mermail Atlanteans deck from the year 2013. Like, you can literally play anything.
It'll draw.
And like we just talked about, sometimes you don't even need the Fua losses. Sometimes you can just play it over the ground, play your pet deck that you have played for 5 years straight to the point that you know the deck in and out, and you know every single niche use case of your deck, and just get the God run.
Which I want to say that's a really this is one thing that I think I have learned from observing Mr. Zeef, is that like it is a skill to play a broad number of decks. Some people turbo focus on one specific deck. This is like, I think MBT tells that story all the time of how he got one guide by a Cardians player, like over and over again when he like dueled viewers.
Yeah, like in the other days of MBT, there was the Flower Cardian 1 trick that, even before the concept of dual tainting and Table 500 was performing cold fusion with Cardians.
Yeah,
because that's just what the deck
and
does.
there are decks that do it. God, what? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. There was another MBT tweet where he got like pulled into a Discord for a deck type he wanted to try out that he liked. Was it Goblins? I think he was. Yeah, he went to the Goblin Biker Discord, and those people are like they're turning Goblin Bikers into their pet deck, and they are doing chat. You will not. He posted some of the images they're giving him of the deck builds they're running.
Find it.
It is
they're
doing the most out of pocket shit with Goblin Bikers. Like you might think, it's Goblins, rank 3 turbo, right?
There was one specific call up that I saw where one of the screenshots showed Baby Dragon on the field. And someone joked, it's like, ha ha ha, why Baby Dragon here? And they get the most serious response of, oh, well, Material means normal monster, and we're also playing Tacton Borg, so we need level 3 wind. Baby Dragon's level 3 wind normal, and they make seals.
Yeah, no, one of these Goblin Biker decks is running Baby Dragon as the funniest level 3 wind dragon normal monster they can tech in, because I think that one also showed they were maybe doing like a Primite package or something.
Yeah.
Oh no, they were doing Materia Reactor. That's right.
Yeah,
because that's rank 3s and normals.
And seals, because the Materia Reactors are also dragons. Because why not?
So yeah, like it's really. I'm glad. Not to say that like I don't think Konami has done some dog shit things this year. But the Quarter Century Bonanza, which is actually Rarity Collection 3, and like the current meta is actually, I think, diverse enough that we're not gonna like fucking die. I am very curious how we're gonna handle the upcoming deck build set, because like in the OCG, Rizol is like approaching tier 0 status, despite the fact that it's just the most rank 4iest toolbox turbo ever. I'm curious to see if like that will be as widely adopted here, because playing rank 4 turbo is actually one of the most but simple strategies you can do like these days. Just because there are so many rank 4s, you can literally do it whatever you like. Or like, will Malice take off here because that's a link climbing strategy that is inherently playable under D-Shifter and shit like that? Like, I don't know. Anyway, we've had Sky Neos on screen for a while, so I mentioned it before. Rush Duel's doing some very interesting things with nostalgia sets. One of the most recently previewed was they are doing Elemental Hero Sky Neos, which is Neos plus Neospatian Air Hummingbird.
And before I discuss the elephant in the room, yes, the E-Hero Neos fusions that are in Rush Duel are not a carbon copy of the ones in the TCG. So there is an amount of precedence for this not being the Neos that will not be named. However, it's still extremely fun.
Yes, it's very funny to bring this up, and I think once again Air Neos trended very briefly when this picture was released for Rush, because we are in such a state where, like, Air Neos, like, is in this state where we won't acknowledge him. And here's a different Neos who looks different. His, like, visual design borrows some elements from the shape of the Air Hummingbird, but
it more feels like Stratos than Neos.
Yeah, because he's very green, and he's got like he looks like Neos plus Avian, honestly, like a little bit Stratos with the
Neos plus Avian plus
wings.
Stratos.
He's even he's got the Stratos like the propeller wing things. I don't know what to call them.
They should have made the green like a very bright red, like a more of like a pale red.
Yeah, which would have fit Neospatian Air Hummingbirds.
I think the idea is to just make them like I think the idea is the color represents the attribute, because it's just that it's that basic for the Rush Duel.
They're running it still pretty straightforward, but like honestly, like, you know, the like functionality, you know, it's got the same stat line, because most of those, you know, one of the one mat Neos fusions are just Air Neos, but or just Elemental Hero Neos with a different effect. So like the stat line's the same, the level's the same. The effect is different though, which could be interesting. Air Neos, in case you forgot because you've never seen him, is when your life points are lower than your opponent, he gains attack equal to the difference.
Which by concept is antithetical to what Air Hummingbird does.
Yeah.
But beside the point.
What Sky Neos' effect is, you can read it, is if both players' life points are different, works either way, you can mill the top card of your deck to the graveyard to activate the effect, which is it gets to double attack monsters, which is probably a But like, I don't think even with all the Neos support and like some Neospatians have come back, I don't think if they decided to put this guy back in the core game to get around the Air Neos problem, whatever that problem actually is, but like this guy would be a better card than Air Neos in the current Yu-Gi-Oh card game. Just another source of OTKing. Also, that mills a guy to the graveyard. Like, Hero wouldn't mind that. And because it's, like, difference, it works if you've done damage already, or if you've air hummingbirded, or if you've paid a shitload of life points for Hero Lives. Stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a very funny guy. But we've yapped for a while. Also, yes, Charlotte said this in the corner. I do think that I think Stratos' name was just Air Guy or Airman.
Yeah, because the theming of the E-Heroes names in Japan was that like it was Blank Man, and yeah, it's Airman, and
Yeah, so
the Destiny heroes were
Guy.
keyword guy.
Yeah.
Like decide guy, die guy. I think that is one of them.
Which for the Japanese audience works a lot better because that does feel like a Japanese cartoon or even a tokusatsu series like naming convention, like of just all the guys. It also sounds like a classic NES video game called Mega Man. But like it works really good. But also, I think I understand now why they changed Stratos to Stratos, because copyright is weird, but in America, there have been some issues with the naming of classic Mega Man guys have been, like, changed to avoid potential compromise. One of which, oddly enough, was, I think, Bubble Man. I think in Battle Network, he was moved to Aquaman. Or moved from Aquaman to, was it Splash Man? Yeah, there was something like that. Because there's an Aquaman who's separate, and they had to change that one. And then there's also Bubble Man. There is an Airman and Mega Man that can cause these issues as well. So, like, I don't know for sure. Yeah, and Woodman is, they kept some of them,
like,
Woodsman.
The point about Bubble Man is like Bubble Man is his Japanese name, so I don't know why he was made like Splash Man or whatever.
They did a
Aquaman.
couple of these weird shifts.
Yeah,
I don't
Some
know
of
why,
them are
but
for
I think
copyright
it's
reasons. Some of them are
it
clearly
stopped.
not.
It stopped as it gone, but there's just like there was I think for at least a solid 20 years there was an obsession of just we have to be different sounding.
I mean,
Well, and I think some of it is like for instance for Yu-Gi-Oh, I think they just changed Elemental Hero Woodman to Elemental Hero Woodsman, making it like all one word. That just flows better in like English. I also think some of it is because the other name would be silly. I'm gonna guess Avion is Featherman, and
Yup, correct.
like obviously
Personitrix
if you're a Persona head, you're like woo Featherman. I understand that reference.
That works as a Sentai thing.
Personitrix is Burst Lady,
Yes.
which definitely does not roll off the tongue anywhere near as well.
And hey, guess what? 2 semesters of Latin. Burstinatrix is just Burst Lady, but Latin.
Yeah.
But it's different, and so it flows a little better.
I will say, like one last touch on this, the sounding different.
Yeah.
That is because like it was just an upper deck staple where cards that had like just an English name were given the Japanese counterpart, or just a very simple Japanese naming thing, like Sangan or Three Eyes was just Critter.
Yeah.
In the OCG.
Yeah, they
And
did
in
a
the
lot
same
of stuff
version,
like that.
if they had like sometimes if they had like a very simple like Japanese name, they gave them an English name. There is no rhyme or reason to it. That was just what Upper Deck decided for cards that had a very simple English name. They would just give them a Japanese sounding name. And then we got Beaverman, which was like what? He's Luis.
Ruiz,
For
yes.
some reason, yeah. He's Luis, and they made him not Beaver Warrior.
Yeah, Beaver Warrior is just... Oh yeah, Ruizu or Louise, and it's just like... Hold on, I'm going to click the trivia tab and just be like, what the fuck does that mean? Trivia? No advice. Names?
Yeah.
Nope, that doesn't help. Lores? No. That doesn't help either.
There's
There's
no
no
reason
reason for this. I think it's just that Kaz thought Louise sounded cool.
Yeah.
You know, so like, and some of them are like, you know, they were probably aiming for like different vibes. Like Celtic Guardian was Inferno Kenshi.
Elf Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally elf swordsman. But just elf swordsman is a little like, you know, it's descriptive, but it's also a little plain. So they were just like, I don't know, Celtic Guardian. Now we'll be in trouble. They haven't done it yet, though, so I don't think it does matter. But we'll be in trouble if they try to make a elf archetype. But I think they used it too generically in the early days anyway, so they can't.
They tried to make a Celtic Guard archetype for a small window, but yeah, they were just like
Yeah, and that at least game
Celtic
checks,
Guard
you
of
know.
Noble Arms or whatever.
Yeah. There are a couple of weird crossover cards, but yeah, we're in a very fun oddball zone. But yeah, so we're going to start talking about Cyberdarks. And I've pulled up... actually, I should ask, because I pulled up a card I think we mentioned before. But do we want to start on the Cyberdark side, or do we want to go through the Cyber Styles spell traps first?
I think picking
They're
up
about
the
the same
Cyber Style
length.
spell traps makes more sense. Just so it's so we can continue through the journey.
Yeah, we can do that, and then I guess do the Cyberdark spell traps at the end.
Yeah. There are a few specific that are specifically Cyberdark, which also I want to point out is very funny, because I actually found this out today on the wiki. So in English, the spell traps that are Cyberdark, and they're all spelled the same way, in the OCG, Cyberdark spell traps are not technically part of the Cyberdark archetype, because I think in the OCG, there's like a hyphen or like a spacer character. So they're literally both written Cyberdark, but they have like a different character in the text that splits them up, so they are not, strictly speaking, part of the same archetype. That doesn't matter because there's actually only like 9 total actual Cyberdark monsters anyway. Like if we add the like 4 from the spell traps that are specifically Cyberdarks, there's like 15 of the cards total. So like it doesn't actually do anything. But I think that's probably why, like, I don't think there's any card that searches Cyberdark cards, period. It either says Cyberdark monsters or Cyberdark spell traps, because they are technically separate.
I'm looking at the two archetypes in Japanese at least have the same the cyber part of the archetype is the same kana.
Yeah.
But like you said, I don't think there's any specific cards that shout out only Cyberdarks like in terms of searching.
Yeah.
So they get away with it.
Yeah. So our first card here we've had pulled up, like I said, I think we may have pulled this up last or 2 weeks ago as well. But this is another weird card this is not strictly a Cyberdark card or a Cyber style card, period, except it's absolutely a card that synergizes with Cyber Dragons. This is Born from Draconis, and it was pointed out last time that in the GX manga, where the cards are very different, the Cyber Dragons were explicitly themed after the stars in the constellation Draco. That's where we get Cyber Eltonin, for instance. But Born from Draconis is a normal trap that says banish all light machine monsters from your graveyard and face-up field. Special summon 1 level 6 or higher light machine monster from your hand, ignoring its summon conditions. If you do, its attack and defense become equal to the number of banished to activate this card times 500. It's also unaffected by card effects, except its own and this card's. You can't special summon the turn you activate this card. So I think this is supposed to just turbo out Cyber Eltonin, but can be used for a variety of other funny interactions. It can be used to cheat out, because it says ignoring their summoning conditions, Barrier and Laser Dragon, which are normally, like, stupidly hard to summon. You can also use it to cheat out the Drytron Ritual monsters, because they are light machines that are high level. So it's a weird one. Like, literally, there's 24 cards it can actually work on. Yes, by the way, chat, that means there are only 24 light machine monsters that are level 6+. And it's like you've got Arcjet Lightcraft, you've got Big Core Mark III. There's a guy called Carnot the Eternal Machine, who I think recently came out. There's a Constellar. Why is Cypher Biplane so large? Probably because you can do rank 8s, I guess. No, it's 6. Oh, you make 2, but it makes 2 Cyphers become 8. Okay.
Yeah.
You got Deep Space Cruiser 9, which is a like rank 9 engine. You've got the Drytron Meteonuses. You've got like a couple of Kaiju cards. Jizukuru, Mecha Dogoran, Mecha Thunder King. One of the Mech Lords. Gen X Solar counts. Emez the Infinity, which is like, oh my god, a card that has been printed exactly once as a Destiny Board Traveler promo.
Sorry, what?
Yeah. Emez the Infinity. I'll pull him up on screen as well. He is a level 7 light machine with the Ace Monster stats, 25-20. Each time this card destroys an opponent's monster and sends it to the graveyard by battle, increase its attack by 700.
That was my favorite. That was one of my favorite. That was my childhood card. I always liked that card for some reason. I never.
I want to ask how you got it. It's literally only. Did you own Destiny Board Traveler as a kid? Did you swindle somebody out of it?
I don't remember.
This guy has only ever been printed as a box promo for Destiny Board Traveler. He has never been reprinted.
I had it from something. Unless I got it from like a hand-me-down. I don't think so. I think we had it because I remember owning the card.
But yeah, no. So like that's a card nobody's ever heard of. That apparently I triggered a childhood memory for Axe, which is very funny.
I mean, I've always known about that card. It was just like, I always remember liking the art a lot.
He looks pretty cool.
It was in one of the Game Boy games.
I remember owning something
World
Game Boy games.
Championship 06.
But yeah, so like, I'm looking at the list of all possible targets. While there are some other very funny decks that you can do, Born from Draconis being banished light machine monsters, it seems designed exactly to work with Cyber Dragon specifically, especially because I believe that it
Oh yeah, I own this game.
Only came out in the it came out in one of the Battles of Legend type sets.
Okay, I'm checking this, and yeah, I had Destiny Portrayal. I remember having this giant fucking poster board, like cardboard thing for like the entire game or something. It was like this whole thing with a book and everything.
All right, cool. And we're discovering. Sadly, I don't think that's part of the early days collection. They're going to pop up, but we'll see what's up.
Does Infinity actually? I guess that'd be a good card for the. What time did it come out? Like 2006?
Like 04, I think, was when the game came out.
04.
So, like, I mean,
yeah, it would have been good in 04.
Terrible.
It would have been. It would have been decent in 04 because like at least got over one thing.
The problem is that it was just not very accessible. But yeah, so Born from Draconis is clearly like. And I want to say, as an archetype card that can hypothetically like cheat out laser or barrier, way better, way more important. Well, let me pull up another iconic card that is like such a Yu-Gi-Oh card art. It'll take a second to come up on screen chat because of latency, but we're gonna pull up Cyber Emergency, and then I'm going to leave you guys with Cyber Emergency for a second and go away real quick. I'll be right back. So, Cyber Emergency should be up shortly, and I will speak to you in a second.
I got this little shithead of a card.
It reminds me of fucking Danger Island.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's bizarre in that it's explosive. Like it is generic light machine, or Cyber Dragon, which is really funny to me. Oh, it's a light machine monster that cannot be normal summoned or set, or a Cyber Dragon monster, which is just a funny inclusion of any random little nonsense, or just one of the best 5-star monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh. Either or.
I think that's intentional, but yeah.
And yeah, it would eventually just become the Drytron special as well. Because hey, light machine monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set because they're all assholes.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah, the artwork of this card is weird because it is a fighter jet getting attacked by what just look like regular dragons, you know?
Yeah, like random enemy dragon.
Yeah, like they're generic. They don't have any defining traits. They're just dragons. Just
They are the platonic ideal of a Yu-Gi-Oh dragon
yeah.
against
and they
a
managed to
ace
take
combat
down
jet.
the fighter jet. Yeah. This generic ace combat jet. Not like this.
I'm a
This-
decent plane nerd.
One of
This
the-
silhouette doesn't look like anything specific. Like it's very clearly borrowing elements from some other like several different models. So it's just cool jet. Yeah. So Cyber Emergency, it exists.
Yeah. The funny thing is like there are so many like of the Gradia ships they could have used for this one. Like just because, but no, generic fighter jet and generic dragon.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm not quite sure. Also, just slight talking about naming things going on. Slight change up here is that in the OCG this is Emergency Cyber. They changed it to Cyber Emergency in the TCG, which I think does just flow better. Yeah. Cyber Emergency, you know. It's like a Mega Man X boss warning. So Cyber Emergency is a card which says, and I do think that's why I think they could have used a Gradius but decided not to, is just either add one Light Machine monster that can't be normal summoned or set, or a Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand. If this activation is negated by your opponent's card effect and sent to your graveyard, discard a card, add this card back. You can only activate it once per turn. So Cyber Emergency is a card that was also printed in Battles of Legend Relentless Revenge that I mentioned before, but I'm pretty sure was... Yeah, it's a manga card originally for Cyber Dragons. But it is a interesting. And the negate effect is specifically because I believe in the manga that came up because it got negated by Light and Darkness Dragon, which was Chaz's iconic monster in the manga.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So it's got a very funny anti-negate effect. But also, keep in mind, this card is much later support than a lot of other stuff. This was 2018 when they invented this. So no, this card was not printed for Drytron. It just so happens, I believe, they reprinted it in the Drytron deck build pack because it also searches both the well, now all three, but it searches the ritual monsters because they can't be normal summoned or set. But it also gets you Cyber Dragons, which is good. And then it has a very funny effect where if it's negated, you get to add it back to your hand if you discard a card. So you do have to go, like, still go -1 overall, but it is a card that can, like, get you around ashing yourself for later, maybe. And it is a Cyber Trap card. So, yeah. This card is now, I think, a staple in all Cyber Dragon decks. You know, you're running it at 3 because it searches, you know, any number of your guys from deck, because all of your, you know, Cyber Dragons that are main deck monsters usually are named stuff like, you know, Cyber Dragon, Zwei, etc.
It's a 3 of in any. It basically is like any Light Machine deck. Like it's you're gonna be running some nonsense that you can probably start for this shit.
Yeah, and if you are running any, you know, target, which I bet I can pull up. Yes, there are only 17 targets. Oh, right. All the Drytrons can't be normal summoned or set.
Yeah, no, it can add any Drytron card.
Yeah,
basically.
So the cards it summons are that are Light Machine main decks that can't be normal summoned or set are Eltanen, Barrier, and Laser again, because those are Cyber Barrier Dragon. It's phrased that way. But then it's literally all of them. It includes Karnot the Eternal Machine again, that asshole. DD Jet Iron.
It can also search Mechlord, Astro, Mechanicle?
Yes.
Don't
Mechanicle.
Mechanicle.
which is the, like one of their big bunguses, but is also a guy you can cheat out with Born from Draconis, printed in the same set. It can also search you Mecha Dogoran, because that guy requires you to banish a...
Super anti-kaiju war machine Mecha Dogoran.
Yeah, that guy requires you to banish a kaiju from your graveyard, I think, to summon it or something, or send a kaiju from somewhere.
And Gradius's option.
Yeah, which is another funny little one, because that's another one of those unique cases. You have to target a Gradius on your field to summon it.
And it just becomes a copy of that Gradius.
Yes. And if the Gradius is removed, you pop it.
Yeah.
It's so funny to read Gradius's option pre-PCST, because they haven't reprinted it since, like, 05.
You can only be touched by selecting one face-up Gradius on your side of the field. The attack and defense card becomes the same as the attack and defense. If it's removed from the field, it doesn't need that much cleaning up. It is just pre-PC. It is just pre-PCST.
Like you can smooth it out with just, you can put a slash instead of normal summoned or set, and I would say probably instead of saying this monster can only be special summoned by well, you might keep that phrase too if it is supposed to be only special summoned, but you could do it, like special summon by targeting one face-up Gradius on your side of the field. The attack and defense, which might be the original attack and defense because it's question mark, I don't know, become the same as the attack and defense of the targeted Gradius. If that Gradius is, removed, destroy, etc. Like it just needs a little cleaning, but yeah. So Cyber Emergency is a card that is like now a 3 of in every Cyber Dragon deck, and also anything you want to do with Drytrons, and if Light Machines are otherwise ever good, probably there too. And then, let me see when this card was released. Okay, so this is a card that is relatively new. This was in the Structure deck not too long ago, which, like I said, was mostly focused on Cyber Darks, but did have some Cyber-style spell traps and stuff that do some things. This is Cyber Eternal. This has to be a anime screenshot or manga panel. Yeah, no, this is literally when Cyber and Dragon got summoned in the anime, yes. Which, like, is cool, but also is, like, very basic for a card printed in 2021,
Yeah, this guy,
It's
can't
just,
even really say much on this thing.
Yeah, it's just Cyber End Dragon from, like, a front-facing shot as he's being summoned. Cool. Neat that you remembered the anime exists. That said, this card actually is kind of good. So this is a quick play spell card that says target one machine Cyber Fusion monster in your graveyard. Either return it to your extra deck or special summon it, ignoring its special summoning conditions. So even if they say can only be fusion summoned, blah, 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 can only be special summoned, etc. No, fuck it. We're bringing him back. And also, if a Cyber Machine Fusion monster you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, banish this card from your graveyard instead. You're going to use each effect once per turn, but not only one that turn. So this is just a good card. Like, if you're playing Cyber Dragons, this is probably a card to put in your mix. At the very least, put it in your side deck, but, like, honestly, really good recovery tool. Summon back one of your big guys if your opponent outs it and get protection for it. Possibly in the middle of their turn, because it's a quick play, Also, it doesn't say in the main phase, so, like, if your opponent does do something funny in battle, you can just be like, cool, yes, Cyber Eternal. And it's even, I think, even without the summon back a fusion monster effect, it's just a good card to bin as well. Like, just a good guy to discard or send to graveyard. Because, let me tell you, chat, the fact that every one of these types of Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetypes, like Galaxy, Cyber, Blue Eyes, etc., has these cards that are like, instead of me getting my ass kicked because my cards don't have protection on their own, banish this card instead. God, those are tough to work around. I think the one that's the most annoying is Umi Control, but that's because that's not an OTK deck, that's a control deck that does not fucking need a graveyard protection effect, but it has them. Cry. But yeah, so Cyber Eternal, good card.
I mean, like even it kind of ended up a staple of decks for a while. Like, I mean, even like Super Heavy Samurai got got one of those guys. Like it was just kind of like the Arc 5 staple.
Yeah.
It's 2021 is like post frames, but it kind of just became one of those things that became baked into a lot of archetypes.
And like I said, I think it's
years.
something that happens a lot with these kinds of like rival OTK decks because they don't have a lot of inherent protection usually in the shows. So they decided to, I think the only like, if I understand how Vrains works anyway, I think the only rival type deck that has anything resembling like protection and negation is like Rocket/Boral. But also there's a fuck ton of those guys. But like, I think it was a trend to give these like graveyard protection effect because they don't really like have a lot of inherent protection, and it is a card that slots in really well to Cyber Dragons, and like I said, or any machine type Cyber Fusion monster, but also like absolutely gets you some high powered guys. Like you can use so many funny steps to get guys back this way. Next, we'll be looking at a continuous trap, not something I think Cybers are known for, but is a card that still does some stuff. This was printed in the first Cyber Dragon structure deck, but they decided it was low power enough to put in speed duels. So this is Cyber Network. I like this card art when it shows up for chat and everybody as well.
Sounds familiar. I think I have seen it. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, you've
But
probably seen it
the
before.
cyber spell and trap cards, like the names run into each other a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is the weird one where it has like a building effect or something, right? Like it gets counters or some nonsense, right?
Yeah. Also, Chet asking Salomon Greats. I don't think Salomon Great is the same style of like rival deck that decks like Cyber Dragons and Blue Eyes and Galaxy Eyes are.
Yeah, Salomon Great, even in Vrains, it's not a rival archetype. Soulburner is more or less the Joey of the series.
Yeah, it's more of a Lancer archetype. Though I will say, in that regard, it's certainly, I think, one of the most successful.
Oh yeah.
I think the only other.
I mean,
I guess that really depends on how we want to characterize 5Ds, because like if you make the argument for Black Wings, that deck is really successful. But also, I think like Red Dragon Archfiend is a case where that guy started as a Kaiba and then became a homie, joined the team.
There are also two other Deuteragonist decks that are really good, and they're both recent: Super Heavies and Goki.
That's right. Yes, I think those also count. Yeah, so I guess eventually we just cracked that.
Yeah, like and to be fair with Super Heavy, it got good way past its lifespan.
Yeah.
They made Wakaushi and we fixed.
And then we printed one of those Yu-Gi-Oh cards that if you show it to somebody, they like ascend a chakra level. Like you instantly unlock one of the hidden gates they need to enlightenment.
Yeah.
There are several Yu-Gi-Oh cards that work like that, but Wakaushi is one of them. You know it's one of those cards because if you watch Dual Taining or
it's Wakaushi, it's Dark Doriado,
Yeah.
it's Isolde, Armageddon Knight. It's
like if you see somebody point at a card and they know it bad enough to go, that is a card that, like I said, is astrally activating people in the nth dimension.
Yeah. And separate from Super Heavies, Gokis, and I will say this to the ends of the earth, I clocked Gokis as being one of those archetypes that just needs time. It needs time and it needs cards, and it was going to get them because it was a Deuteragonist archetype. Oh, another one, Trickstar. Yeah. So like Vrains was just a killer of like secondary character decks that were just crazy.
And I think the only reason why Trickstar is not good like today is because literally in the show that character switched decks. So I think all the
Well,
legacy support goes elsewhere.
The funny thing is that the guy who played Goki did as well, but we don't talk about Dino Wrestler aside from Pankratops. No one cares about that deck aside from Pank.
I do want to say that's very funny if he switched from a different wrestling themed archetype to another wrestling themed archetype. Good character through line.
What happened? Like we're way off topic, but like to dumb it down, he played Goki, and he does a proper like he becomes a villain, becomes anorexic. He snorts one of the AIs, and it makes him an anorexic villain who now plays a different wrestling deck. That's like that is more or less a stun deck, but it's really dumb.
Yeah. And then like I'm sure chat could explain it to me, but I don't know Why the girl who played Trickstar just decided to switch to Marincess.
She did it because character-wise, when she played Trickstar, she hid her identity, and in her going to Aqua actresses, or not Marincess.
Yeah, Marincess.
Different, wrong Aqua-based archetype. Like going to Marincess, she embraced that. Oh, I'm like I'll just be myself now. And
okay, so she was just her more true self, and because Marincess is a straightforward elementally locked link climbing deck and not slightly annoying burn and mill deck, it gets legacy support. We know how it is.
Yeah, because she also gets like she gets the water AI, same way that Soulburner has the fire AI, and like it just becomes these guys get their elemental AI and they have to make their deck now an element locked deck, or the new one, because you can't play the light one because the light guy's gonna be evil. And dumb shit.
But yeah, so to explain what Cyber Network does, like I said, it's not that impressive. This card says destroy it during your third standby phase after you activate it. Once per turn of Cyber Dragons on the field, you can banish a light machine monster from your deck. If this card's sent from the field to the graveyard, special summon as many of your banished light machines as possible. If you do, destroy all spell traps you control. Monsters that were special summoned by this effect cannot activate their effects, and you can't battle phase the turn you activate this effect. So, I don't know if, like, my first thought is, like, was Zane early enough in GX that he, like, used Return from a Different Dimension or Dimension Fusion before it got banned? I don't think so. I think that was already hit by the time we got to GX. But, like, that's what this is. This is God's crappiest Return from a Different Dimension.
I don't think this card was ever even played in the anime.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, did they invent this to, like, make up for the fact that you can't play Return from a Different Dimension with Cyber Dragons, or what? Like, that's my first vibe. Yeah, this card's not good. The art's cool. I get the theory, but if hypothetically you had some funny way to banish a shitload of light light machines, and then get them back, 3 turns after. Cool, but then they're can't activate their effects, and you don't get a battle phase, which I think the battle phase part is probably the number one thing that killed this deck for cyber support. Like we talked about them, how they tried to set up different methods, and there are very easy lines to go into Infinity in cyber, but that's still not what you do. Like, you are ideally, power bonding or overload fusing it up into a ludicrous guy who gets a ridiculous number of attacks, and your opponent just keels over dead.
Yeah, this is a really just bizarre card that plays antithetical to Cyberdarkness Style.
Yeah, I mean,
the cyber style.
It did come out in the structure deck that printed, not Infinity, Nova. Yeah, the 5. So like, they were maybe trying to like massage the deck in a slightly different direction, but still, honestly, it reminds me of a lot of cards that are from kind of this era of like the middle 2010s of just like, okay, we have to print restrictions on cards, so you can't battle phase.
It's in the same vibe
can't
of
affect.
it's in the same vibe of that that random mid-tier trap card that every deck build pack archetype got. It exists as just an arbitrary mid-range tool that in competitive play is never going to be put in your deck.
Yeah. No, you just because it's already a trap card you have to set to activate, and like it exists in a case where you're building a slower deck and you just don't get to it. Which is going to be funny because our next card I'm about to pull up is going to be a card that is also super well played. Like, I think as common to max out on as whatchamacallit, Emergency, because we're pulling up Repair Plant.
Yeah, and while Mega's pulling it up, I'm just gonna call out the chat. A lot of characters in Vrains have an abnormally low win rate just because the series suffered the most from Playmaker has to win. Like I can remember early Vrains, every single arc was here comes a jobber villain, Blue Angel or go Onizuka, fight them. They are winning for 99% of the duel, and then they just lose for no reason. And then Playmaker shows up and wins, and he gets their salty run back.
I just know that, like, yes, I know of Vrains is that supposedly just like the last third just kind of chokes up itself because of back
the last third. Like this is like every single mini arc for the first half of the series before Soulburner is introduced, and they have another character that can get wins. They can win a duel.
That's also just a problem with certain shonens that aren't willing to just not make it about the title character. Most times, if you make it. But I have things where I think a title character should not be like the main part of a story for more than like 45%.
I mean,
if it's a battle story.
I think that's a little weird. Like, if you've got a title character, the show should absolutely be about them. They are the through line character. But also, we don't do title characters that much.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you're gonna focus on other characters, you should let them have their arcs and let them have their own agency.
Well, that's just writing in general, but anyway, it's a problem that Yu-Gi-Oh has fairly often, which like that goes back to the Duel Monster days where like everything's fun in the games until it gets darkly magical, and then Yugi, and by which we mean Atem, has to stand up. But also, like, I think some of that has to do with like the fact that the manga was concepted from a different point anyway, so like the filler arcs tried to give characters like play out, but it almost always boiled down to usually Kaiba and Yuki at the same time have to solve this problem. Ironically, I think GX did a really good job of spreading people out, even though there were still cases where like Bastion got blasted by the Amazon-S player and went feral.
GX struggled up until the Society, like the Society of Light saga was when it kind of figured itself out. Yeah. But like the entirety of the like duelist key things, the dark duelist, the shadow duelist or whatever they're called, has the same formula of here comes the shadow duelist. They fight one of the other guys, and they lose arbitrarily, so Jaden can fight them. Yeah. But after that arc, it figures itself out, and they introduce a lot more characters that can get wins.
And also, that's like I should say also that's like the Shadow Riders part is like also like 40 or 50 episodes in. Like like they spent a lot of time building up on school bullshit, which was also usually like decently spread out between your duel of the week being Jaden duels a guy because we're on the Duel Academy Island and we want to duel, or like other shit happening.
He has to get the golden egg witch.
Yeah, like, or there were side stories like Chaz's whole character arc growth and other bullshit like that. Like they did a decent job of spreading it out. Good. Yeah, so like there's a lot of that weird funny stuff going on, but the card art for Cyber Repair Plant has fully revealed itself, and it's funny to me because I thought it would be that Cyber Repair Plant is printed in the same structure deck that just printed Cyber Network, because this is I think
they making Mega Fortress.
Well, they've got the Mega Fleet bits, but I think specifically because you can see some of the dark coloring, I think this is we're rebuilding a damaged Cyber Dragon into Nova.
Yeah. My favorite part of this is, like, we don't see any people, but that is 100% a truck next to one of the...
there's like a little loading thing to drive this around, because I think they're on, like, those big, like, vehicle movers that you, like, move the space shuttle with and shit. There's, like, a giant crane with, like, a little light box for a control room up here. So, like, yeah, this adds a lot of lore by presupposing that this Cyber Dragon actually takes place in, like, I want to say, like, a tokusatsu kaiju universe where, like, people are building these things.
It also does give an amount of scale of how absurdly enormous Cyber Dragon actually is.
I'm trying to think of the exact word for it, but if the series was, if you was overthink that was more, I guess, introspective of its own minutia, we'd probably have like a whole thing about like cyber technician, like cyber technicians or like cyber plant technician people.
Well, I mean, I don't think. Sadly, I will say there are limits to how much theming you need. I think with like the cores and hers and stuff, like and the prototype, like they've done enough to like describe the smaller scale. And once you hit a certain point of scaling, I don't think you need them to be like shown as like actually people on card. But cards like Repair Plant and some of the other cards we see can actually, like make this work. So Repair Plant, by the way, good heckin' card. Like I said, it's shocking to me this came out in the same set as Network. If a Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, hey, guess what? Everything's a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard. You can activate one of these effects. If you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons when you in your graveyard when you activate this card, you get both effects in sequence. So you can only do one per turn. And then it's got a bullet point. Either add a Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand, or target a Light Machine in your graveyard, shuffle it back. Once again, much like Cyber Eternal much later, but a Cyber Dragon I love as an OTK strategy because, like, assuming your opponent doesn't immediately kill you on the crackback, you have a lot of opportunity to keep trying to OTK them because this deck has phenomenal recovery tools. Repair Plant is amazing. Very likely, you're going to have 3 guys that pretend to be Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, which means you can easily add any Light Machine from your deck to your hand and then shuffle back any other Light Machine in your graveyard. Like, just really great reloading potential for your deck. It does mean
it can even be as simple as like you shuffle the one, like you add one and shuffle one into your deck that you're just gonna search off the card you just added.
Yeah.
So it's fundamentally a +1.
Yes.
Like it's a very silly card.
Yeah. And it's just another good tool to have. Speaking of giving them good tools, our next one is another phenomenally weird card. Card art's good, once again showing you some scale and stuff. Yeah, I'm looking at the background. It looks like this is fundamentally the same space as the Repair Plant, but I think it's, what's his name? Is it Hart? Yeah. And I believe we said when we actually looked at Seeger a couple of weeks ago that the Link Monster Seeger is clearly the new little level 1 guy, hers, being upgraded. The card art for Cyber Rev System is very clearly that transformation. And that is actually just a straight-up translation of the OCG name. So, Rev System is just... I guess the TCG team was just like, yeah. Rev System is cool. And I'll see, like I said, I'll see where it catches up.
Whoa. I don't like seeing an unarmored Cyber Dragon. I don't like seeing how noodly it is.
Yeah, they are noodly little guys.
I know we looked at all Cyber Dragons. I recognize like that head style, but I can't place which one it is.
It's Hertz.
His name was Hertz?
Yeah.
Hertz, yeah. Got it. But yeah, like the new. It makes sense when you think about it, but I don't like seeing like the like you said, like I don't like seeing the under bits of a Cyber Dragon.
Have we ever talked about how I feel a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards have a good thing where you can kind of image them in motion?
Yeah.
I don't think we talked about it specifically, but it is a good thing with the design situation.
Because like I can image just like all the bits moving in place and like it clicking together and like lighting up.
Well, and I think the beauty of a card like Rev System is that we have two other cards which show you both ends of this process. Like, we have the completed Seeger and we have the Hers before armor, so you're, like, bringing it all together. Sorry about that, chat. I paused for a second to refresh my streaming control room because I was stuck eternally loading for a little bit there. Weird as that is. But yeah, so Rev System, interesting looking card. This is a normal spell that says, special summon a Cyber Dragon from your hand or graveyard. It can't be destroyed by card effects. I like that it does also include the graveyard. So that means you can target guys who are not Cyber Dragons, but only if they are in the graveyard already. But I think it also like solves a problem where Cyber Dragon can have a risk of bricking because typically at most you can only ever special summon one vanilla Cyber Dragon from your hand once because then you control a monster, you know? This just gets him out of there and lets you summon him. Just solid use. And yeah, all in all, good card selection. We'll say, oddly enough, we are. I mean, I think I can guess why, because there's a lot of network stuff going on right now. But the frame drop is a little worse than usual today. I can't possibly imagine what people are looking at on the internet a lot.
Kind of fuzzy.
Well, yeah, I'm also sure the quality's goofy, but like we're up to like 70% frames dropped. The audio should still be working, but we're having a bad time. I guess I could. No, I don't really want to, because we're still getting audio. I don't want to kill the BGM. I could, and I don't know if that would unfix things, but that was Rev System. So we're going to move on, and we're going to leave the zone of names that are just cyber, and add things that are not cyber. New names. First, Cyber Load Fusion.
Oh.
Pretty direct translation of what it, or even transliteration of what it says in the OCG. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so we'll, if even if the video is a little choppy, it's just Fail Portrayal, so you can see it okay. But yeah, Cyber Load Fusion isn't really anything to write home about art-wise. We're doing the fusion swirlies, but we've got lightning and we've got cyber dragons.
I do like the look of the cyber dragons like spiraling together though. It's nothing special, but it looks nice.
It's a variation on a theme. I think most cards that are polymerizations look good. But also you're like, yeah, that's a fusion card, all right.
Like a card that I've seen recently running around that I didn't know was real until recently, Ghost Fusion.
Yeah, I don't think... well, and also I will say, Master Duel might have just added it. I think everybody realized Ghost Fusion is real because it was in... they did one of those tryout duels in Master Duel for Hallow and Ween, because they did one of those seasonal things where they put cards in Master Duel right away. And one of them was a zombie deck. Personally, by the way, I have a slight bone to pick with that fucking event, by the way, to get off on a complete tangent. I think it's Hallow that was... Well, I don't remember which one. One of them was the zombie, one of them was a fiend. The zombie-themed deck, I thought it was neat. I think it was actually terrible, because it was like 50% vampire support and then 50% generic zombie engine, with, I think, the idea that you're supposed to go into like, the vampire, whatever they call him that's not Dracula. I can't remember right now. But, like, you're supposed to make the Xyz and stuff. No, the Yu-Gi-Oh card. Which I don't think is called the Vampire Dracula. They're big rank 8.
Voivod?
Yes, thank you. That's the Voivode. That might be the main deck one. But those two guys. Like, the only fusion monster they give you, to summon with Ghost Fusion is, like, Draco Necrosoul, which isn't even a zombie.
Oh.
Oof, my Discord ping got a little big there for a second, too. I think it's smoothing out. But yeah, so, like, Ghost Fusion is cool, but I don't think they, like, gave you enough targets for it. Meanwhile, yeah, chat's confirming with me.
I looked up Ghost Fusion. This card apparently has two different searchers for Ghost Fusion as well that I'd never heard of.
Yes.
One when it's into the graveyard and one when it's summoned.
Yeah. It's got, like, a whole bit of support about it. Also, yes, thank you, chat. Rank 8 is the Immortal Vampire. Voivode is the main deck guy. They had both of them in the deck. The Fiend deck is just a fucking Unchained package, which is way better than all of your boss monsters in the zombie deck, but also was insufferable to play as a mirror because you can't do shit. And also, I didn't realize this, but this is how I phrased it in our Discord. Like, all of the Unchained links that aren't Abominable Soul, the big four, are just walking white woman jump scares. They're just all closed goddesses and let you link away your opponent's materials, which, when you're playing a possible mirror match or against a dark zombie deck, are all valid targets for dark link material. So that was just a insufferable brief format that Master Duel had. Anyway, somebody in chat already spoiled it, but Cyberload Fusion is your archetype quick play fusion. Fusion summon a fusion monster for your extra deck that lists a Cyber Dragon monster, actually, as material by shuffling materials listed on it into the deck from among your cards in your field, or face up banished. Your monsters can't attack the rest of this turn except that fusion summon monster. You can only Cyberload once per turn. This is, I think, basically the prototype of, what is it, Tyrant Fusion is the, Ultimate Fusion is the Blue Eyes one?
I mean, surely a quick play fusion, surely a quick play fusion that can't be used, like, it can be used out of the main phase, isn't broken, right?
I mean, honestly, I think this one is specific enough that I don't think it's caused a lot of problems, but it's still a pretty good card.
Oh, well, yeah, like it's probably just okay. I imagine it's good in Cyber Dragon, but it's not going to be anything of, like, that. It's no Shadow fusion.
If anything else, I think the thing that holds it back is the fact this was printed in Legendary Duelists, like White Dragon Abyss, so one of the middle Legendary Duelist sets. It was put in the structure deck, the second run in 2021, but the problem is that, like a lot of cases where there are non-archetype cards, where, like, there was a card in the anime that was clearly meant to go with this archetype, but got used in a lot of weird ways. In this case, Power Bond. And also, when we get to actual Cyberdark cards, those guys have had an archetypal normal fusion spell for forever, but much like Power Bond, it doesn't use the word fusion in its name. But the problem is that because your deck is already based around either contact fusing or overload fusioning, or power bonding, Cyberload Fusion I don't think does quite enough. I think it's good to give them, like, a what's that hero fusion? Parallel Worlds Fusion is shuffle back from banished.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, it's cute to give them the third step too, especially for a GX archetype, because you've got, Power Bond is a normal fusion card, hand or field. Overload banishes. And then Cyberload can shuffle back. So, like, that's cool. I think that you've already got enough fusion cards, though. Like, fusion spells. So it gets relegated to the back row a little, but it's still a decent card. Like I said, I think it's the prototype of Ultimate Fusion, which I think is the Blue Eyes one, because that's shuffle back for a Blue Eyes Fusion from your like field banishment or graveyard, and then also pop cards equal to the number of exactly Blue Eyes White Dragons you shuffled back. This is a card art that, when it comes up, due to latency, you may have things to say, but I also don't think so, because this is also one of those just card arts that exists. And you may think from the way this card art is, and I will double-check appearances. Yes, okay, so this was a card in the anime that wasn't printed for, like, 10 years for some reason.
That sounds about right. Well, I mean, could easily just be like, oh, it's a quick play fusion. That's way too strong.
I mean, this is a quick play fusion card as well, but no, I'm talking about our next card, Cybernetic Fusion Support.
Oh.
Because I was looking at its card art, waiting for it to come up, and I'm just like, yeah, when it comes up, you're going to be like, this card is nothing. And my first thought was, that probably means it's an anime card, but I checked when it got printed. This wasn't printed until Crossed Souls in 2015, but was in the anime.
Hey.
So yeah, it's just wires and stuff.
This is a much better card than Cyberload, but also it's not a cyber card.
Yeah. So yeah, if you don't know what Cybernetic Fusion Support does, you've probably seen it in Suicide decks and Master Duel, because it's a card that can, for no effect, cause you to pay half your LP.
Just pay half your life.
Yeah, pay half your life points. Semicolon, once, if you fusion summon a machine fusion monster this turn, you can banish monsters from your hand, field, or graveyard as materials. You can only activate one Cybernetic Fusion Support per turn. So yeah, this basically is a card that in the anime turned all of your fusion spells into Miracle Fusion, basically, because you can banish them as well. Obviously, I think this card has fallen way out of support now, just because it's like, you can already just play Power Bond and search it, and Overload and search it, and other cards fusion summon. So paying half your LP isn't necessary, especially because, as you said, this card is not searchable because it is a cybernetic spell. Which I think if there's anything that does search cyber spell traps, this should still count, but it's still weird. But yeah, no, this is just like, we came up with a really weird way to dodge fusion requirements. I think it's interesting. It is funny to me that, like, it took them until 2015 to be like, okay, we can print this now. Half your LP is probably a little too costly for this effect, because it's also it's half your LP and a -1 for not doing anything right away, you know? But it definitely does do things. Oh god, I can't. This is gonna be one of those funny cases where, because I've got the latency turned up, like, I'm gonna pull up our next card, which some of you may not have heard of. It's Cybernetic Hidden Technology, and I think the people with me in the box, in the booth, will have a visceral reaction when the card art loads. But yes. Cybernetic Hidden Technology, while we're waiting on that card art to pop, is another continuous trap card that is from, like, 2008. It's an actual GX card.
There's a lot of just random little guys.
Yeah. And this card's not the worst. It's just got, like, such a funny card art.
Oh my god, not Cyber Tyranno.
Yes. So,
he's dying.
I don't... When we get to this card effect as well, I do not know why...
Wait, that's Tyranno Infinity, isn't it?
No, I think... Well, actually, it might be Tyranno Infinity under the armor, but I think it's Cyber Tyranno, or the Cyber Dinosaur. It looks like the factory is melting down the Cyber Dinosaur and the Cyber Dragon, and I don't know why. I guess I did talk about it being a kaiju setting.
That is Tyranno Infinity, because, like, the electricity running off Tyranno Infinity is the same thing, so
okay,
it could be that he's just... that he's causing the meltdown because he's just electricity incarnate or something.
Maybe we're trying to suggest that Tyranno Infinity is the thing the Cyber Dragon fights? Yeah, no, the trivia does say. Also, in the anime artwork, it was Cyber Ogre that was in the pot. Very interesting.
Huh.
But yeah, no, this is very weird. I like that we're world building here, though. That like apparently the Cyber Dragons exist in a world where dinosaurs are back and they can generate lightning, and so we've had to build giant robot dragons to fight them. You know, as opposed to any of the other things we could do. So what this card does, this is a continuous trap that says, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can send to the graveyard a Cyber Dragon you control or a fusion monster that lists Cyber Dragon as a fusion material. Target that attacking monster, destroy it. It is God's worst Sakuretsu armor. Not even the great Satan himself could make this card usable. No, this is, like, actually awful, but very funny. There are... Like I said, late GX, this came out in Phantom Darkness, so, like, I know Sakuretsu went through a part where it was limited. I don't remember if it was ever forbidden, but it was definitely limited at some point. Mirror Force obviously was straight up banned for many years. Shit like that. So, like,
also,
battle tricks were a little chaotic.
Sometimes, like the late 2000s were just trying shit.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can blame them in the era of, well, just like generic destruction battle tricks are too good, so we have to make to make up for it, we have to make archetypal battle tricks for our guys. Like when Mirror Force was limited, we made Radiant Mirror Force. That's just a super shitty Mirror Force that needs 3 monsters on the field.
Yeah.
It doesn't do, like, it's terrible.
I will at least say that Radiant opened them the door to be like, wait a minute, what if we just made 5 billion Mirror Forces? Because that's very funny to me.
But the other Mirror Forces came way later.
They decided to make Mirror Force effectively an archetype with its own search card much later. Konami, if you're listening about weird stuff, hey, can you, if you want to do that, please figure out a way to make that, like, an actual deck that works in the way that, like, give me an archetype of spellcasters or illusion monsters based around Mirror Forces, because, like, I know Magic Cylinders and, you know, Mirror Force Launcher exist, but they don't have any support, so they're just funny little guys. But I do appreciate that, like, you can find a Mirror Force for any occasion.
What could go wrong if they just made a mirror archetype, right? What could possibly go wrong?
Sorry, in my head, I'm just playing the version of where they mash up Ace Combat music and somebody I used to know, and my brain is just speed running the Gishki pipeline.
Oh, apparently, Omega, there already is one. Mirage Mirror Force.
Well, yeah, there is one that's keyed to illusion monsters, but I don't think we have, like, you know, I think that's still only based around illusion as a type. I don't think you can get, like, I'm talking about like an archetype that actually works by, like, cycling all the Mirror Forces.
You know, I forget what it meant, but still, like, it could be interesting for illusion cards to, like, just interact with
I believe Master Duel just mentioned their. I believe we're getting Yugi's Golden Sarcophagus cards, but we're also fully, like, activating several new things, including, like, Nightmare Apprentice and a bunch more illusion cards, including they're going to add a secret pack for illusions that's got, like, Chimera on the front. So Master Roulette will go another extra week because they're adding 2. But yeah, so yeah, no, like, cybernetic hidden technology, like, talking about, like, yeah, it's 2008, we're just doing shit that's, like, you know, semi-archetype locked. This is arguably the bad
reason that like I think Glad Beast had a shitty Sakuretsu. Like the beginning of archetypes, we were just trying to make we were just trying to mimic really powerful cards of that time frame, but lock them into the archetypes so they can be strong. But but now that we're a decade and a half removed from that era, we look at these cards and like, well, they suck because it's just a generic version. But at the time, there wasn't.
Yeah.
It's the nature of just looking back on it.
And like honestly, not that you like the problem with this nowadays is that it's a continuous trap card. Like I don't know how you'd ever get to it in like modern Cyber Dragons, but like these days, sending a Cyber Dragon to your graveyard because it says one Cyber Dragon you control, so all of your monsters that are become Cyber Dragon count. To like do a pop. This is not once per turn, by the way. So like depending on how many guys you have left on board, your opponent may have to go through a few monsters. Like. This could actually be usable these days. The main problem is just that, like, once again, this means you're playing some kind of weird version of this deck that doesn't exist. Like, you're talking about a control version of this deck that's not doing anything. But because these days sending to the graveyard a Cyber Dragon is nothing, like it could actually like be playable. So it's one of those weird cases.
Yeah.
But the card art is also just so funny. Let's see. Okay, this is a card art with Seeger on it, so it's got to be newer. Yeah, okay. So this upcoming card is Cybernetic Overflow. Overflow was printed in the Cybernetic Horizon core set first, which is when I think they added a couple more of the guys we've talked about. Yeah, that's got like Veer and hers and stuff in there. That's when we got linked up. And it's been reprinted several times since then. The card art is, Seeger, I guess.
He's Seegan all over those guys.
Yeah.
It's
Seegan
cool. Time or something.
Which is all very funny.
I guess we should means more than it. If we're stuck at making jokes of that loud quality, we should probably get going.
All right, where are your any quality of jokes?
Sorry, I shrugged. I was like, I don't think there's a joke to make here.
I mean, we're just saying, like, there's nothing really to say about this card art. It is a standard Yu-Gi-Oh! Action shot, I think. I like what they're doing a little bit with the colors, but it is just Seeger. Apparently Seeger's
I like the cosmic energy effect on like the back tails and the head and the sides.
Yeah, this does show Seeger's like lights in a little different aspect, which I do like, but otherwise he's just kind of in the cyberspace.
I mean, like, it doesn't look bad, but there's not much to say about it. It's an action shot.
Yeah.
It's the guy looking cool. That's it.
And this is a card that is just, like, again, giving them really annoying, funny stuff to do. So this Overflow you may have heard of. It says, banish Cyber Dragons with different levels from your hand, face-up, field, and or graveyard. Destroy equal number of cards your opponent controls. If this card in the field is destroyed by a card effect, add a Cyber Spell Trap from your deck to hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. So basically, either you play this like on... This is another one of those cards that I think is designed to give Cyber Dragons an option going first. You set it face down on turn one and either bait your opponent into breaking your board, at which point you're just like, okay, well, if you don't kill me, I'm going to add Emergency or Repair Plant or whatever, and you're dead. I believe... Cyberload Fusion works because contains the word cyber. So like all kinds of things you can do. And also if you actually activate it, it's a very weirdly conditional but very good, like I don't know, like Raigeki Break or like Icarus Attack-esque card. Yeah, you have to banish some Cyber Dragons to make it work, but you banish a few, especially if they're already in your graveyard because you've already fused them or something, and you get to pop several. And because it does count as graveyard and does use different levels, like, you're gonna be able to banish a bunch of these guys, potentially, So it's a perfectly functional card.
A lot of the cyber support just like it just falls into the category of, I mean, it being an anime archetype, especially that is in that sweet spot of GX era, so it gets a billion support. It's gonna have a lot of cards that are good, like by no means bad, but you don't see them around because they just have a critical mass of good cards that it just does not it doesn't beat the bar of being better than all the other cards that
like I said, Overflow is another card that like I think exists to give Cyber Dragon more options. Generally the deck does not exercise those options because you don't need to run an Icarus attack in Cyber Dragons usually.
I mean, look at Hero.
Oh god.
Look at how many random support cards Hero's gotten over the course of its lifespan. And how
I think it took us like, I mean, admittedly we did all capital letters Heroes, but like I think it took us like 6 streams to cover Hero when we started this.
Yeah.
I feel like if we did this now, we probably could have covered it in like 2 or 3.
I don't think so. Because those are also long streams.
Tangent, it would have taken us 8 streams.
There are less people, but somehow more yapping.
But yeah,
no, Overflow is a card. Like Overflow, is a card that on paper is good, but when you're actually building a like 40-ish card Cyber Dragon deck, and certainly I think there's enough cards in Cyber that you could actually like wiggle to like go bigger if you wanted. But like you're gonna look at it and go, God, do I have room for this?
I mean, like we can compare it to that we looked at a few months ago, Galaxy. Sorry, where Galaxy also has a critical mass of cards that are just like, they just have a lot of good solid cards, but Cyber Dragon is different in the case of it's been lapped to the point of like people know the best low to the ground Cyber Dragon concept strategy.
Yeah.
And it's not to say like there can't be evolution beyond that, and like revolutions like the same. Look at any speedrun category, and you'll see it happen in the same manner. But there there'll be plenty of good options and varieties of choices. Yeah. But there will always be the capital B best ones.
And I don't. It's interesting. Yeah, it's a good idea to bring up. I think the comparison to Galaxy, because that's something that has been famously talked about. We talked about it when we did that stream, and also it's come up talking about like through series like Master Roulette and other stuff that people, big Yu-Gi tubers have done. That like Galaxy is a archetype that is in such a weird space where like you truly can build that deck to any flavor you like and include any number of Galaxy names you like, so no one can universally agree what the best brew of Galaxy is because they've just got so much stuff. I don't think Cyber Dragon gets quite the same, like, rep, but it is certainly a deck that has that many members, right? Like, you can just build any number of Cyber cards. You can run Cyber Dragons pure, or, well, when we talk about them, you can include the Cyber Dark package. Certainly, Konami has gone out of their way to make the Cyber Dark side of this deck as playable as possible.
I think what sets Cybers apart from Galaxy is that, like there are just so many fundamentally, like, cards to build around as opposed to Galaxy, where, like, obviously, like, building around Galaxy Eyes and like your Tachyons.
But God, there's so many extra deck guys too. Like, there's so many rankings like, you can play.
Whereas Cyber, it's like, oh well, it's Infinity, Chimera Tech, the Link, there are the bullet, there are like your greatest hits to craft around. Where Galaxy is just a pile of cards. They have so many good options that there is not a keystone to go, no, the deck should be built around this one card exactly.
And I will say, I think that another thing is that, like, fundamentally, I think that is the difference between a archetype deck that is mostly fusion focused, though obviously there are very good Xyzes to play in Cyber Dragons, and they have a pretty good Link monster as well. But like the core of the deck is already built around making your big asshole fusions and just punching your opponent out. Galaxy is also about OTK Turbo, but they have a wide variety of rank 8 monsters to do that with, and thus any good rank 8 or card that can be made on top of a rank 8 is hypothetically a usable Galaxy card. And also they have rank 4s, etc., etc. So like the way the Xyz deck works is because I think you get to be a little pickier about your extra deck, you can just be picky about how you brew, because like in Cyber Dragon, ultimately what you're trying to do is probably get to a situation where you're making an End Dragon or one of the Chimera Tech guys who gets a shitload of attacks into your opponent and they die. Like, make a guy who's got, like, more than half their life points, attack directly twice, they're done. They're cooked. Whereas Galaxy can do shit like steal your opponent's guys and overlay them into other guys so you can attack directly, or give yourself, a 10,000 extra attack. Why? Just 'cause. Like, we're going to make it one big single attack no matter what. This card, by the way, that I've had pulled up for a while is Cybernetic Revolution. It is a very a funny card name, because that's the name of a set, even though it came out way later in Legendary Duelists. Again. But it has a, kind of cool anime-inspired, showcase, as it shows a Cyber Dragon upgrading to Twin and then End, like going through the epochs. I think I used this as our thumbnail when we did the original Cyber style. And honestly, this is a normal trap that is also, once again, probably all right. At least for, once again, when you're in Game 3 and your opponent forces you to go first, or God forbid you're in Game 2 and your opponent forces you to go first, a card that can do something. This is a normal trap that says, tribute 1 Cyber Dragon, special summon 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that lists Cyber Dragon monster as material. It can't attack directly. It's destroyed near the end phase of the next turn. You can only activate Cyber Rev once per turn. So, this is a, very fun case where, like, if you're in an emergency situation, you can just be like, okay, I only summoned 1 Cyber Dragon. They stopped me. Cool. I'll just make End Dragon or, I think even Eternity Dragon, might work for if your combo gets interrupted. I'll just make one of those guys on my opponent's turn, stall it out for a turn, and then go back to what I'm doing. Do you actually, play it out that way? Maybe. But it certainly has a purpose in the deck.
We'll also just say real quick to point out to someone in chat. Galaxy was piloted by 3 different guys in the anime and 2 guys in the manga, so it's just all over the place. And it's just to make a final touch on, because we went down the line real quick. Galaxy's freeformness, I think, is its greatest flaw, ironically. This card's dope as hell.
Yeah.
What are like the best targets for?
Probably make an End, so your opponent
Can't attack though. But I guess.
Well, that's the point. Is it's a trap card. You're not attacking with this thing anyway. You use it to pinion a boy so that you don't die, probably. But let's see. I'll check tips. What are cards with Cyber Dragon and material? So it's Rampage, End, Twin, or Eternity. So yeah, it's Eternity or End. And honestly, these days, like, it came out in the same set that Cyber Eternity Dragon came out, so it's probably meant to be used with Eternity, which is the 4K wall. And like I said, God forbid if you have a Machine Fusion monster in your graveyard, your opponent can't get rid of it. And Eternity has a graveyard effect irrespective of if it's summoned correctly, so, like, I think you just go into a wall to futz with your opponent.
Yeah, nothing wrong with having a defensive option.
So now let's talk about a very funny card that people are going to be like, huh? Well, I'm not going to forget. Even if Rata might have briefly forgotten. This is the card art appearing on your screens for Cybernetic Zone. The shittiest card ever. Not actually true. There are cards that are actively detrimental to you, but, like, Cybernetic Zone is one of those cards that's, like, it was used in the anime, and so Konami printed it, like, you know, around the time it came out, 2008 in Phantom Darkness also, and you just ask yourself, how would anyone ever get this to work? So Cybernetic Zone, which shows, what's his face? Super Robo Yaru, yeah.
Yeah, the Robo Yado.
Yeah.
Robo Lady, and then, like, Robo Yaru's Robo Lady.
Which I just want to say, is the naming pun Yado as in just like the generic like a generic, like, not pronoun, but, like, just a generic phrase you use to refer to somebody?
No, I believe it is another upper deck ism. Those guys are rare metal in the OCG, so Super Roboyaro is rare metal knight. So they might have, like, done a weird thing with the translation, but I think they were just trying to figure out a way to, like, Japaneseify the term rare metal. Rare metal. The original Robo Yado is just rare metal soldier. Robo Lady is rare metal lady, and then Super Robo Yado is rare metal
I'm looking
knight.
at it, like the trivia does refer to Yado as punk. Like it does say that, and there is also Fire Yado, which is Flame Devil, but who knows? Like
It's hard to tell with
be.
the old school, like I said, like upper deck days. But yeah,
similar
so,
thing we talked about.
Also,
with,
by
like,
the way,
Critter.
once again, talking about missing nostalgia archetypes. Where's my whole rare metal archetype that requires us to errata Robo Yaro? You know, where's that support, Konami? Anyway, Cybernetic Zone is a quick play spell card, which, by the way, this, like, literally somebody brought this up because I think Rada had a note about how he forgot about it in our Discord of, like, how would this card ever work? The answer is it doesn't really, but this is a quick play spell that says select a face-up machine-type fusion monster you control, remove it from play until the end phase of this turn. When that monster returns to its field, double its attack. During your next standby phase, destroy it. This is a card that doesn't do anything. I mean, technically, yes, it does do two things. Two things occur. You can use it like a, interdimensional matter transporter and swapsy it out to dodge something. But when it comes back, it is destroyed during your next standby phase. And then
the best
the double
I can
attack
think
doesn't
of
matter.
it is that it's a quick play fade against an opponent's like battle trick trap card that this card then comes back and sits on the field for your opponent to not be able to do anything about, and then you lose it on your turn. So
yeah,
the doubling attack is just to make it harder for your opponent to get over. But like you said, realistically, and this is a 2008 ass card if I've ever seen one.
Yes, this is
like,
one of the most 2008 cards of all time.
Yeah,
it's super overcomplicated for no reason. If this card was just interdimensional matter transporter, but only a quick play spell card for machine type fusions, that would already probably be bad enough that you would only ever see niche play in Cyber Dragons, maybe. As it is, this card never will see play, never. I
can respect the attempt of trying to egg up this pudding, but I think you put one too many eggs in it.
Yeah, it's just not gonna cook correctly, no matter what.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, the card art I think is really cool. Like, once again, talking about, like, world building, like, I really wonder what's going on with the rare metal Robo Yado guys. Like, those guys also seem like they're in the middle of a like separate tokusatsu series. Like they're in some kind of like oh shit,
we threw him in. We threw him in a back tank. That's it. Like it looks cool, but boy does it do nothing.
What am I thinking of? I'm thinking my brain's trying to remember, and remembered it slow. Guyver, like it could be a whole interesting type thing, but no, this card just doesn't do anything. But it does work with machine fusion monsters and is a cyber card, so I thought it worth talking about, even though you will not use this in Cyber Dragons. A card that is Cyber Dragon themed, and I'll go ahead and grab the other one too, actually, but we're going to look at Evolution Burst and Super Strident Blaze, which are the kind of like signature attack card spells for Cyber Dragons, and I believe Super Strident is specifically End. Yeah, I know. Card art's pretty straightforward. So you've got.
I ended up vacuum for a second. I thought everybody cut out.
I was wondering why you're quiet.
Yeah. I was just pulling up some card art. We were pulling up two side by side. So yeah, the Evolution Burst is 1 Cyber Dragon. Super Strident Blaze is 2, well 3, but it's the next one. And that's another translation thing that I don't get, because like I don't know why they decided to do it. Maybe for flip flaps, but Evolution Burst is just Evolution Burst. That's the name of Cyber Dragon's attack. End's attack is supposed to be Eternal Evolution Burst.
Oh, what was it called? You say? I'm sorry.
The actual TCG name is Super Strident Blaze.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be something as simple as, oh well, the lip flip of evolution in in a Japanese phonetical sound, just it doesn't vibe as well with just someone saying evolution, because you do got to think of the pacing and standard of because it's phonetical English. It with how Japanese works, it does feel a little awkward sometimes, but could also just be the early 2000s. Hey, maybe we shouldn't call it card evolution. We don't want to get some people upset. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
People are weird.
The original Evolution Burst is a normal spell. It was printed in Hidden Arsenal 1. That's right. Yeah, because they put a lot of stuff that would have probably been in a Duelist pack later. But that's a normal spell that just says, if you control a Cyber Dragon, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. Cyber Dragon cannot attack the turn you activate this card. Honestly, I think the main thing is just this card's unsearchable these days. It's like Inferno Fire Blast for Red Eyes. Yeah, you can FTK with Inferno Fire Blast real easy. You just have to draw Inferno Fire Blasts. You can't search them. Evolution Burst is a card that technically should have use because it's target any one card your opponent controls, so it can be a spell trap pop as well. You can't use it unless you have a Sidra out and you can't search it. So a card that for 2009, okay, for these days is just one of those things that you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I've got space for this. Strident Blaze was once again printed in Legendary Duelists White Dragon Abyss, where we got all our anime-ass support for Cyber Dragons. That is actually an equip spell card, which is a very funny direction for them to go to. Equip only to a machine fusion monster. Your opponent can activate cards or effects during your battle phase. At the end of the damage step, if the equipped monster attacks opponent's monster, you can banish a Cyber Dragon from your graveyard. The equipped monster can attack an opponent's monster again in a row. Your other monsters can't attack the turn you activate this effect. So, Strident Blaze basically just turns End into the OTK no matter what. By giving it the chance to attack multiple times. This is something we talked about when we were talking about the fusions, that Twin has always been more popular because it can attack twice. Strident, lets you banish a Cyber Dragon from your graveyard to get an extra attack in a row. That's not once per turn. And also, it has the effect to just make it so your opponent, like, is permanently Armades. Just fuck you. You cannot activate effects or cards during your battle phase. So like I said, this is a card that you probably try to play, like, one or two of and get to. But if you don't get to it, it's not the end of the world, but it is nice to have.
Yeah, and, like, again, that, like, so many Cyberdarkness cards fall into that like category. Oh, that's good. It's all right, but that's...
And I would say, like I said, Strident Blaze probably suffers on that scale just because it's not searchable. I don't think there is a card that says search a spell trap that mentions Cyber Dragon, even though that would go pretty hard.
I don't think so, no, but I think there isn't at this point just because they've made so many cards that like they're just like, maybe we shouldn't print that.
Yeah. But yeah, so like that, those are all pretty good. And that's where we end on the Cyber style spell traps.
Wahoo.
It only took us 2 hours. That's okay. We were yapping for like half an hour beforehand. It's really more like an hour and a half. And guess what? Cyberdarks, unless we talk a lot about how unbelievably bad the first generation was for a, what do they call it? Underworld style deck, a reverse dark style deck, how awful they are. We will be going much quicker.
They were in the anime, the Cyberdarks were played up as the most threatening series of cards ever.
Yeah, let me read you a couple quotes from the wiki. So they say, these cards were used by Zane Truesdale following his rebirth in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime as a forbidden underworld deck called Cyber Art Reverse in Japanese. In the anime, this deck's unquenchable thirst for battle and improvement forces its owner to go past his or her limit, slowly damaging their body over time. Because of this drawback, only duelists with strong wills and dreams of progression, so never show Simo this, can use this deck for long periods of time. And then it basically talks about, like, this deck apparently has a, like, fucking secret, AI Terminator Grey Goo virus in it, where you are just compelled to duel better and get heart failure as a result.
Heart failure.
Cyrus was able to not die because he just respected the Cyberdarks, apparently.
The heart failure for Zane also was from his fetish for shock play.
Yeah, I think the idea was that his his weird underground shock dueling style meant that he just keeled over because the deck.
I don't think it's even shock. I think he just wanted it to feel like that his life was on the fucking line all the goddamn time.
Well, yeah, no, like that's why, but it doesn't change the fact that he liked it. Like he enjoyed.
Listen, if he could set himself on fire instead, he probably would have done that too.
But no, like the deck is, and it's so weird to me that like I guess it's just because that's the way that like, if we want to talk about like Yu-Gi-Oh settings, GX specifically I think is one of the wildest. Like 5Ds can be pretty goofy with like they came up with a time travel plot in the back end and like ancient alien type shit with like quantum energy sealed in the Nazca lines and shit. Yeah, and the fact that like the world is literally powered by dual energy. But like fundamentally you're like, okay, we're writing our entire setting to revolve around playing a card game, possibly on motorcycles. Like, sure, fine. Zexal has like the multi-dimensional aliens thing. GX is just like, fuck it, what if everything is correct? This machine-type deck is so dark and evil, it psychically compels you to duel more. Also, aliens are real.
Or if you, like, literally make if you literally make a basically make a villain for, like, a fucking cross-branding, rewrite comic book event, that Yu-Gi-Oh card will just eat your soul, and your body, and all your blood.
Yeah. Also, vampires are real, by the way. Also, this tiger is a lady.
Also, alchemy is real, and there's like dark immortals that set around a fucking island that can make you young and bend reality.
Yeah, like it's overlooked in like we can joke about 5Ds and Zale, like and their goofy stuff, but like like 5Ds, I feel it. I don't think it like rationalizes it. The idea of no 5Ds, the riding duels are like the peak of sports entertainment in that world.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
that's just
why there
the
was just
same shit as like any other anime about games or sports, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot. I think it's because a lot of people
yeah.
in the West find the idea of card games on motorcycles now inherently funny. Also, people don't. I don't think Little Karibo meant it this way, but people don't have any like originality. He made a joke once about card games on motorcycles, and then just every Yu-Gi-Oh fan just went, "Haha, yes, this is a bridge man, Yu-Gi-Oh! A bridge series man make this joke. This joke must be funny.
Honestly,
we repeat same joke. Pop the baby."
I almost fuck that got me because I was like,
Sorry.
I just did not expect that one.
Sorry, I know. It
I did not expect that. But I was expecting you to talk about fucking dinos. But yeah, or whatever. But it just makes me feel compelled to. It's like I feel like one of these days I should just make a fucking like blog about what a society is like if you actually take like goofy series like this seriously. And it's like, okay, so what kind of society actually is this like?
It would still
Let's break
be
this down of
pretty-
actual like societal theory and like see what interesting bullshit comes out by filling in the gaps.
Yeah, and and obviously I think there are some cases where like going too far over analyzing goofy premises can just make you a killjoy, but like I also think sometimes people just poke too much fun at stuff as well. 5Ds is not that weird. GX
Listen,
is
there's
weird.
a spirit world. There's a spirit world where the cards lead to things, and the cards are just the embodiment of like spiritual energy. And then there's also quantum energy with like fake machines that eat whatever.
And then
Yeah,
also, but like I said, GX is weird in other ways. Like I've mentioned this before. Jinzo is just an urban legend, like, ghost story. And also y'all remember they cybernetically enhanced a monkey to play Yu-Gi-Oh?
Not just that, but also like we touched on it. The Neo-Spatians exist because Judai sent Judai designed a bunch of random little cards. Kaiba sent a satellite out, and these aliens
and an Ultraman found it and gave it power.
Yeah, like these aliens found these cards and then just chose to embody those designs and like, nah, we're these guys now.
Listen, it literally listen. It's an Ultraman plot. Some kid made a wish into like a capsule that got sent to space, and the Land of Light found it. So they were inspired by it, and they created duplicates of themselves via the cards.
I mean, I know it is just
satellites.
Ultraman, but it's so funny when you add to the fact that this is a Yu-Gi-Oh sequel series. So they're the wishes of a child, Judai or Jaden, but they went into space because Kaiba went, I will teach aliens how to play my favorite card game. Shoot these cards into space from my space station.
If there's life off of this planet, then let's teach them how to duel.
Oh god, that's like
so funny.
And I think the crazy thing is like with Dark Side of Dimensions is basically a canon sequel. No, Kaiba is that crazy.
Yeah. Listen, they make it in the dub. They make it more where he's more of like the super egotistical like dude. It's okay. Listen, because in one case it's like JP. He's more about his obsession, but in the English version he's more also listen. When I crush this can, a Kaiba Core can should not be able to be crushable. Make it not crushable.
I mean, they did some extra jokes in the dub, but like, no. I think even with the plot of Dark Side of Dimensions, he literally built a space station, and he built I don't think this was ever clear from the end credits, but he either built a time machine or he built an elevator into the Egyptian afterlife, and shot himself into it.
I thought he made like basically a hyper VR state. Basically, he made a.
I think the implication with like all the quantum realm shit is that like he's actually fighting Yugi. It's not just like an AI construct. That's how he starts the movie, is trying to build the perfect Yami Yugi AI, and it doesn't work, much like real life Gen AI. So he's like, fuck it out, because the image shows him like being shot out of something out of the bottom of the space station. Like he's got like a space elevator thing. But so anyway, Kaiba's weird. But yeah, so like they play up the Cyberdark so hard, and they are such an archetype that until like their third wave of support in 2021 are such a nothing deck that people really, really wanted to be good. I've had their first one up here for a while. So first of all, let's talk about what the heck we're looking at. This is our first one, Cyberdark Edge.
We're looking at a Last of Us Parasite.
I think this is a robotic monstrosity from H.R. Giger's Nightmares.
No, it's more Hellraiser.
Actually, you're right.
Also,
No,
by
it's
the way,
being more mechanical. It is much more Hellraiser. You're right.
One more thing, we didn't even touch on the concept of just all corrupting light that is just a cosmological
Eldritch energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a great old one in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
It likes tarot cards.
Yeah. It's weird. Yeah, so Cyberdark Edge here is like, I think it's supposed to be like, I want to say a bird because of the feathered wings, but it looks much more like a bug. It looks like the evilest version of a dragonfly ever. Like, it's got, and I do want to say, this is old school Yu-Gi-Oh! As heck. Like, I wonder if they got Kaz to input on these. What's up?
Put another dollar on the jar, because it's like, I'm just imagining, it's like, I feel like we could just make another Yu-Gi-Oh! Game where it's just like, this never happened, but I almost feel like you could make a Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, sci-fi horror game where it's just like, there's a bunch of people, there's just like, an random enemy is just a person that has this thing embedded into its back and arms.
Yeah, once another genre Yu-Gi-Oh! Could conquer. You could make Yu-Gi-Oh! Survival horror. There's so many archetypes that fit. Anyway, this guy is just like covered in edges and points for no reason. He's got big purple gems in him, but you can tell he's cyber because he's flying out of cyberspace. Yeah, it's just crazy as hell. So
I always feel like they should have made. No, I guess they made a whole bit of like. I feel like they should have all the way the Union monsters at the base, or made it done a whole thing. I guess of how it would be like a base platform card that basically where there's like two.
I feel like this. You are right because we'll describe basically because it's gonna
it should be a core parasitic host body.
The first line of Edge's effect is gonna let you know kind of what Cyberdark's theme is, but they have a sub theme or a primary theme of equipping monsters going on here. So I think they could have done something with Union monsters, especially because this was an era where they had, like, XYZ support with VW and stuff. I think this was the point, because this was, like, mid to late GX and, coming out in the middle of the GX sets in Cyberdark Impact and stuff, the set, that, like, things are, like, in such a weird case where they just gave up on unions for a little bit, and this is why the Cyberdarks do very specific things. So Edge is a Dark Machine monster, level 4. It has 800 attack and 800 defense, which are very bad for a 4, but that's because if you normal summon Cyberdark Edge, target 1 level 3 or lower dragon in your graveyard. Equip that dragon monster to this card. This card gains attack equal to the original attack of the monster equipped by this effect. This card can attack it directly. If it does use this effect, its attack is halved for damage calc. If this card be destroyed by battle, destroy the equipped monster instead. So, good stuff, bad stuff in here. Gains the attack of an equipped monster that's a dragon, but it gets halved attack when it attacks directly. That was a very big thing in GX.
They should have. I feel like they should have done a thing of machine or dragon.
Well, some of the later ones do, but I don't know why it was dragons in the anime per se. Like, I don't know what
it was
caused
dragons.
it to go that
it
way.
was dragons in the anime, just because, like, there's no reasons for it. We also I don't know if you've put this in the support, but it should be discussed. The continuous trap card that's the graveyard DNA surgery.
Oh yeah, I don't think I had that before. Let me dig that up because that was important.
That,
what's
that is a
chat?
card that Zane exclusively plays multiple duels just to force his deck to work.
I don't remember what that card is called because it's got a really weird name. I think it's Samsara of something. Chat, run me that name in the chat box. I'll search for that one. For the time being, to also talk about Edge, I have pulled up the card art for Horn Dragon. or Hunter Dragon. I think it's Horn Dragon in the OCG, which is previously was the strongest level 3 dragon monster you could play. He's a very weird guy, so I think he fits Cyber Dragons. Yeah.
Rebirth Judgment.
Rebirth Judgment, yes.
And yeah, it was dragons because the first guy Zane fights against is Red Eyes, so he has to counter Red Eyes.
Yeah.
Just to rub salt in the wound on you, I guess.
Yeah, you know, just to fuck me over. But yeah, so Hunter Dragon is the card you usually played with this strategy when you're playing Cyberdarks. They eventually made some future Cyberdark monsters, dragons. Also, they made Dragon Roid the way it is exactly to synergize with that part, so you can play the Cyrus plays Cyberdarks version of this deck. Don't do that. Don't actually do that. But yeah, they tried to make that work for like End Dragon. But yeah, Hunter Dragon used to be the strongest level 3 dragon you could summon. It's a normal monster that has 1700 attack, so that means that Edge, for instance, would be 800 plus 17, so it would be 25, which is pretty good, though its attack is only half when direct attacking.
Yeah, like the Hunter Dragon was just one of those random guys that it is funny looking at how well supported the dragon typing was, but for the longest time there just weren't any good level 3 dragons to actually thrive with the Cyberdarks. It's pretty stupid.
Yeah, so they just didn't work that way, which was something that, like I said, I think the anime just wasn't focused on searching for.
Because like I'm trying to think if the Cyberdarks even actually had the level restriction in the anime. I doubt it, because there couldn't have been that many.
Yeah, I assume it's just level 3. Actually, let me double check. Is it exactly level 3? Yeah, it's level 3 or lower. So I assume it's level 3 or lower exactly because that was the level that like the first guy they grabbed was. And
yeah,
in the GX era, Konami was trying to be as uncreative as possible, I think, when it came to card effects. They were just like, yeah, what did we do in the anime? I don't know, something. But yeah, I'll pull it up real quick as well. So this is Declaration of Rebirth. The name in the OCG is what again? Yeah, Samsara Dogma. That's right. Rene Dokudan. That's why I was like, this name's really complicated. It has it's an anime card, so it's got a weird, funny, generic anime card art that's slightly creepifying in this context. I don't know why this guy is pulsing with evil purple energy and also becoming a Terminator. But
because he's been turned into a machine, Omega.
I guess. This is a continuous trap that says once per turn declare a monster type. All monsters in the graveyards become that type for the end of this turn, and even if this card leaves the field. So it's DNA surgery just for graveyards, but because it wasn't actually printed until Brothers of Legend in 2021, which was also the set when they printed Dragonroid.
This was a card that could have been printed decades ago.
Literally could have been printed the year it was in the anime. They just didn't.
It could have been printed in Cyberdark Impact. And I think it would have been a marginally better set for it, unironically.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, they just felt like, nah, we gotta that card would be too strong. But it didn't. They waited to release it. I guess, to be fair, it did come in the way in the wave of Cyberdark support. So it could have just been they were waiting for Cyberdark support and just realized that, oh, there's no salvaging this.
Yeah.
Like, who knows?
Yeah, so it's just a weird case where they worked it out, and then, like I said, they probably made it better by making it once per turn you can declare. But yeah, that's a card that also
really cool.
Does stuff. Yeah, it's pretty neat. So
this feels like a cover for like a very different series.
Edge lets you attack directly. Doesn't even matter if it's equipped. It's just you wouldn't want to attack directly when it's not equipped because it's a fucking level 4 monster with 800 attack otherwise. Our next one is... Now, once again, keep in mind, all of these original guys are dark machines. So first we had Edge, now we have Horn. Cyberdark Horn.
Here is the anime version. Oh! The anime version is level 4 lower dragon type for 4. Okay, now
way stronger, I guess. Yeah.
Now I've got to look. Now I'm checking all of them. Yeah, it's level 4 or lower. I guess they thought that was too strong.
Well, I think at this point, I don't remember which Luster Dragon it is, but I think it's number 2. But one of the Luster Dragons existed, which was a 1900 dragon. So, we've talked about this before, but the GX era, especially the early to mid GX era, is marred by a lot of cautious card design, where they're like,
yeah,
we're deliberately trying to build a lower powered format because we've just come out of the tail end of Duel Monsters, chaos formats that were very high powered. So we're trying to scale it back deliberately. And, and then they printed a lot of cards that are bad, and then they got unbad. They got better.
Well, Alexander Dragon Chat was way later. And even then, Luster Dragon 1900 is barely above.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 1 is 1900, but number 2 would have been out of the range regardless.
Yes.
I can understand maybe making it level 3 at the time, but still, because at the time level 3 dragons, I think it would have topped out at Baby Dragon legitimately.
Yeah.
That might actually have been the top at the time.
Actually, I forgot when I pulled up Hunter Dragon. It's saying when it came out. Let me grab that set. Tactical Evolution. So that would have been right after the actual Cyber Darks were released.
Yeah, the level 3 dragons at the time would have been the best would have been, I think, Baby Dragon.
Though, funnily enough, Hunter Dragon is an anime card.
Oh no, they were the Mass Dragon, so 1400.
Yeah,
but still, I can see the logic, but still, I don't agree with it.
Yeah, it's a very oddball case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our next card is Horn. Horn, I think, has one of the designs that's most easy to wrap your mind around, but is still terrible because he's got spike legs coming out of his weird bone metal body, and he's got an ominous Konami orb inside his mouth, like a cyclopean eye, and just way too many head spikes. Why does he have so many head spikes? So many horns. I guess it's because he's Cyberdark Horn, but still, too many horns. And he's also got little gripper tentacles for when he sucks up a monster with his effect. But Horn has the exact same stats as Edge, Dark Machine 488. If normal summoned, target the dragon, gains attack. If his attack's defense position, do piercing. If it will destroy a battle, destroy that instead. So, all in all, very straightforward shit. And the last of our trinity of the originals, before we get to the extra deck monster, is Keel, which is actually called that in Japanese as well. I'm not really sure why they picked keel in this context, because a keel is a part of a boat. It is kind of like the spine of the hull. So keel being very clearly the noodly spine-like body makes sense. Honestly, keel, I think, is the art that is the least weird because it just looks like an evil Sidra when it comes up. Like, it's dark with some weird blue lines and some extra robot tentacles.
Even has like a bolt in it.
Yeah.
It has like a bolt hinge.
Yeah, it got hinges to where they go, and it's very narrow. Like, it's got a very sharp, needly narrow face. But this is just an evil Sidra, you know?
Yeah, this is a Sidra where you basically took it apart, and then like the parts became evil design. Then you reassembled it.
Yeah. And Keel has the exact same stats as well. This is something I couldn't remember, but yeah, all the original Cyberdarks just basically all of the same stats. Keel's effect is, if it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflict 300 damage. So once again, this is a deck that people tried to make work for a very long time, but they're all awful.
Yeah.
Edge attacks directly. Horn pierces. Keel does very tiny burn damage when it runs over.
And good old GX era where we had to just do arbitrary burn damage just for the sake of it.
And then the big boy is these guys have a fusion form. Of course, it's GX, so they have to have a fusion form. This is the man himself, the Cyber Dark Dragon, who is, I just realized, is so much more extra in Japanese. Oh my god. They thought the writers for GX really thought this archetype was cool, chat. This card's name in Japanese is Gaikokuryu, Cyberdark Dragon, Armored Black Dragon, Cyber Dark Dragon.
That is just the nature of a lot of boss monsters in like the GX era, where it would just be a cool sounding Japanese phrase, then the name in English. Look at one card that is just unfortunate translation because of how it's called, Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon.
Yeah. But we love Curse of Dragon.
I think it is it is like Curse the Dragon in Japanese, Curse of Dragon.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's just a funny case.
We'll say at least they combine very nicely.
Yeah, no. So Cyber Dark Dragon is just the bits together. I mean, they've done some different things. So, like, Keel is obviously the spine running through the whole center, but its face has changed, so it fits inside the mouth of Horn. The wings are bigger from Edge, etc. But they're all glommed together into a weird freak show dragon thing. So this is a Dark Machine Fusion, which does mean you could use Overload with this. It's level 8. It's only got 1,000 attack and 1,000 defense. Its components are exactly 1 Horn, 1 Edge, 1 Keel. Must be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, funny how that works, target a dragon monster in your graveyard, any dragon monster, equip that target to this card. Also note, by the way, I don't know if there was something else where they were like there was like weird graveyard swapping going on or anything, or some kind of like card trading effect because I don't remember from the anime. But also note, all the Cyberdarks are your graveyard, not both graveyards yet. So I again don't know if the anime was different and they, much like the level 4 thing, nerfed them, or it's just a case of like there was actually a gimmick in the anime. I did not get that far in my GX rewatch. But target a dragon monster, equip it, it gains the attack. Gains 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard, period. If it would be destroyed, I'll destroy that monster instead. Even for this era, what an underwhelming extra deck boss monster. This is supposed to be superior to Cyber End Dragon?
Yeah.
I guess if your opponent has or if you have a really big dragon in your graveyard. I mean, like, you know, equip it with, like, Red Eyes or Red Eyes Darkness Dragon, which are both relevant at the time. Those guys are, like, 24 and 28, so that makes it 34 or 38. God help you if you had, a Blue Eyes or another big, dumb, you know, dragon in your deck, which I'm pretty sure... When did Dragon Shrine get printed? Dragon Shrine. Saga of the Blue Eye structure deck in 2013. So yeah, you would have been a few years there. But, you know, you eventually got Foolish Burial for normal dragons. So, like, there are some big-ass dragons you can just play in the deck for like big bungus numbers, but yeah, gets to equip a dragon to get to be like 3k, 4k attack, and gains 100 attack for each monster in your graveyard. Not great. Not very impressive. Yeah, I guess if you did the thing where you equip Cyber End Dragon, which is the thing they reference later to it, because of bullshittery, that does make him very large. That makes him 5k. And they do, like, reflect that later with later support. But again, it's so funny to me that they just... Dragon. It's so funny to me that they did not reprint Rebirth Judgment for so long, because, like, that would make this deck make a lot more sense if you could just make your whole graveyard dragons. Without that...
Like, legitimately, the thing that kneecapped this deck for, like I don't want to say for so long, because, like, it was already kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Out the gate, but... The lack of Rebirth Judgment really did just make this deck unplayable, because going from like level 4 to level 3 just dumpsters the options.
Yeah, your attack stats gets terrible, which again is, and it's, the monsters are already not good. Edge already has its attack when it attacks directly. Horn just has piercing. Keel just does 300 burn damage if it runs over a monster. Like, all of them are bad. Cyber Dark Dragon, also bad. It has no proactive effects. It's just equip any dragon. And like there are ways to cheat out stuff or to do other stuff. Like, if you could arrange for, like, get 5-headed dragon, get the old 5 god in your graveyard. Because that did eventually get printed at some point. Okay, that guy's like 5k. Ooh, 6k attacker. Like, it's cute. But once again, unlike End, this guy doesn't pierce. Unlike Twin, this guy doesn't double attack. It's just how to make an even bigger, doofier guy. But, yeah, just one of those cases where, like, I understand why people thought this was cool, because I think the anime hyped it up a lot, and they look neat. Like, Cyber Dark Dragon looks cool, but the lack of Rebirth Judgment really, I think, hampered this deck to the point where in the original where people are like, how can we make this work? What they did, first of all, was they introduced a couple of weird support guys. In the original run of Legendary Duelists, kind of in the 2017, 2018 era, when Cyber Dragon was getting their, like, second look at support, Cyberdark got their first look at support. One of those cards was Cyberdark Cannon? Dear Japan, question for you. What part of this is the cannon? Sorry, I'm just thinking of the fucking Drake and Josh meme. Where's the cannon?
Feels like the head opens up.
Maybe? But it kind of looks like it's already opened up. It does kind of have like a weird mouth bit, though, so maybe the cannon's in there.
I will say, like, this feels like this thing tightens up and, like, was smaller, and you had to, like, activate it, like, unfolds itself a little bit. Yeah. Like, almost feels like the blade horns, like, or, like, I guess the head bits, like, slide up, like, slide down or up.
Anyway, yeah, it's doing weird stuff. We like him a lot. I think weird... he fits the aesthetic very well.
I don't think it's artifact is the word for it, but just, like, if you look at, like, the back half of it, it just looks like it's layered weird.
Yeah, but like I said, this is a card that is original to the paper, version of the game. Was never in the anime, so they did a good job of recapturing the look of Cyberdarks. So this is Cyberdark Cannon. This is a Dark Dragon, level 3. With 1,600 attack, 800 defense. Again, probably tailor-made so that you would just actually play an archetype card that makes it work. But it does a variety of things. First of all, if this card's sent to the graveyard, it's equipped to a monster, draw one, so it's a recovery engine. You can use the following effects once per turn. Discard this card, add a Machine Cyberdark from your deck to your hand. During damage calc, if the equipped monster battles, you can send a monster from your deck to the graveyard. So what this does is basically, 1, gives you an in-archetype monster that equips. 2, gives you a way to do graveyard setup on your own. You can get the dragon into your graveyard, and you can search a Cyberdark. And also, it gives all of your Cyberdarks an extra effect while it's equipped. This is very good legacy support, and I think this is when people seriously started to try and make this deck, like, actually work, because it gives you a Foolish Burial. Also, if it gets destroyed, like if your opponent pops the monster or you know, you do a battle destruction, it gets sent, you get to draw a card. Like, it's got consistency. We're doing things. We're trying. So Cannon is pretty good and basically vital if you're running the Dark Cyber style deck, because it lets you search your entire group of assholes who you need to play, because they're all important names. Because as I said before, if you want to run Cyber Dark Dragon, that requires Edge, Keel, Horn. But our next guy is Cyberdark Claw.
Which, you know, looks like a claw. I'll give it that much.
No, he's a weird...
Looks more like a claw than Ken looks like a cannon.
Yeah, he's a weird claw-shaped guy. I think the only part of this is a little weird is that this is also a dragon, and he looks very mechanical, but, you know, we don't care. It's 2017. We're past caring about that. So Claw is another level 3 Dark Dragon with 1600 attack that says if it's equipped and sent to the graveyard, target a Cyberdark in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If you can discard this card to add a Cyberdark spell trap from your deck to your hand, so this is the spell trap searcher. During damage calc, if this equipped monster battles, you can send a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, which obviously, like, doing this in damage calc is a little late, but is a really good effect these days. You can send Entis. You can send End Dragon. You can send any manner of weird things. So, like I said, Claw is another one that's also just really good. Like, Cannon and Claw give you decent attack stats. And once again, admittedly, it's 2017. Konami should be printing good, like, good support cards. But the fact that they were just like, okay, here's what this deck needs. In-archetype dragons that discard themselves and search monsters and search spell traps. Done.
I did not notice it until it was blown up. If this guy is a dragon, so it's more fleshy, I don't... Like, I know these are Konami orbs. They feel like eyes, and I do not like it.
He's watching you. But yeah, so we got another fusion guy, because that's what we totally needed here. Oh god, this guy's... Well, actually,
like
hey, first
monster.
of all, we're gonna see how it's a cannon. I think we're looking at it backwards. But they gave it a new boss monster in the form of Cyberdarkness Dragon, also known as Gai Gokuryu Cyberdarkness Dragon, Armored Hell Dragon.
Which is a play on Zane / Kaiser becoming Hell Kaiser when he learns how to the Cyberdark style.
Yeah. So, like, yeah. But so what we learned is apparently the weird mouth bit attaches to the top of Cyberdark Dragon and then becomes a gun. The other end is the gun, the part we can't see.
Also, Claw just like latches onto the back, where like Claw latches onto the back, which then creates the platform for Cannon to slot in.
Yeah.
Which then becomes a railgun, and
claws face downward like an evil claw machine.
I don't want to say it. It's just an H.R. Geiger dick. I don't like it.
I think this is a joke that's been made before. The cannon on cannon is very penile, yes. It's very weird.
I mean, it's more spinal.
I mean, it is also a spine, but yeah, it's especially because the other cannon like is kind of bulbous from the other end. It's very weird. So Cyberdarkness Dragon is a level 10 Dark Machine Fusion 2K. And this requires any 5 Cyberdark effect monsters. So just any Cyberdarks in your graveyard or field, whatever, fuse them. Must first be fusion summoned. If this card's special summoned, equip a dragon or machine from your graveyard to this card. So at this point, Konami has like said in 2017, they're like, Could we print Rebirth Judgment? Nah. We'll do Machine or Dragon. Begins attack equal to the original attack of the equipped monster. When your opponent activates card or effect, send one equipped card you control to the graveyard, negate, and destroy. So it's a negate. It's got 2k attack base. It can equip dragons or machines. And if ideally you have the opportunity to set up, Claw does let you send from your extra deck, so you can, send a big, you can send 5-headed dragon or Cyber End Dragon or whatever and get a really, really big guy. Which for 5 fusion material is good. This card is okay, and like I said, I think this is when people really started to be like, oh wait, maybe we can do something with this deck, because it's got, it's got a built-in archetype negate, So we're all seeing what's happening there, but yeah, it's a big asshole that has a negate, and it's a dark machine fusion monster, so like overload targetable, works for other stuff, etc. And then they added 2 more little guys when they did the Cyber Strike structure deck a while ago. So these cards are very new. The next 2 monsters will be coming from the 2021 support. First is Cyberdark Chimera, which I'm looking at is just, it looks like they... I know we, already take a shot, everybody, put $1 in the jar. We already talk about how, like, sometimes Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters look like model kits. We may have even said that about some Cyber Dragons before. And I do believe, by the way, there is a Cyber Dragon figure. Chimera looks like we just took Edge, Horn, and Keel and built them a different way.
Yeah, this is like...
It fits with Chimera. Yeah, it is just all 3 of the OG Cyberdarks. Just hit bash together like in a Lego video game.
It's like, yeah, it reminds me of I watched a 13-hour video on the entire history of Bionicle, and it's like, just reminds me of those fucking kit bash sets they fucking sold, where it's like 3 things together to make other things.
Yeah, they did some crazy shit with Bionicles back in the day. I remember, I think, seeing examples of that in like Lego magazine, where I would order my Bionicles from. Not actually true. I bought Bionicles and shit in the store because they were very fun. You could pick them up. They came in little tubes. But Chimera is a Dark Machine level 4. We're back on this shit. It's got an intro attack, but 2100 defense. So we were actually working this out. First of all, this card says, 1, you can discard 1 spell trap, add a power bond from your deck to your hand. You can only use dragon or machine cyber monsters as fusion material this turn. But also, once when you fusion summon this turn, you can banish monsters from your graveyard as material. If this card's sent to the graveyard, send a Cyberdark monster from your deck to the graveyard with a different name for the cards in your graveyard. Only use each effect once per turn. So, Chimera is just cybernetic, I think, fusion support, but on a guy that also searches Power Bond. Like, it just lets you banish to Power Bond, but you have to use Dragon or Machine Cyber monsters. But you get to Power Bond. And if it's sent to the graveyard, like I said, it lets you do a thing. Other than that, this doesn't have, like, the equip effects or anything, so it's in a really weird case. But because Cyberdarkness Dragon does exist, having more Cyberdark effect monster names isn't bad. Because, like I said, it gives you something to do. So, Chimera is a good card. And like I said, I think even because this searches Power Bond, I think this makes its way into even Cyber-style decks that are not running the Darkness package, because it gives you a normal summon that can search Power Bond. Like, it is a tech option you can do.
I think the awkward part of this is getting it on the field first, but yeah, that's a machine. I'm sure there's ways to cheat this out in a machine, and I don't know everything.
Yeah. Actually, or like I said, if you're running Cyber Dragon, you can just normal summon after specialing a Cyber Dragon. It lets you use material from your hand graveyard.
This guy isn't. Double check now. Okay, it's not. For some reason, I thought it was just the reverse Cyber Dragon stats, but the attack is half, which I guess they did on purpose, because so its stats would be on par of a level 4 with that big an ass.
Yeah, they tried to do some weird stuff. And then let's talk about a funny little guy who, like, honestly it's very funny to me that this got printed as it was printed in the modern day, but it is basically a thing that was in the anime, so it makes sense. This is Cyberdark End Dragon, or Gaikoryu Cyberdaku Endo Dragon, Armored Emperor Dragon, Cyberdark End Dragon. Which is, this is a thing that happens in the anime, is Cyberdark Dragon equips Cyber End Dragon. And that's...
Fucking volcano eruption in the background.
Yeah, they added some extra spice. They added the thing where, like, the you know, tokusatsu explosions happen behind it kind of shit.
Honestly, I still think that they could make a photo card where it's like all the combinations together to make a fucking triple on triple thing.
They could probably do some crazier shit. End Dragon is a Dark Machine Fusion, level 12, you know, it's a big guy, who has 5,000 attack and 3,800 defense. Because its fusion materials are Cyber Dark Dragon and Cyber End Dragon. So like I said, it's very funny to me that they, like, literally just made this card a very straightforward, specific fusion monster, but it works. You'll see in a second. First, it must either be fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing a level 10 or lower Cyber Dark fusion monster equipped with Cyber End Dragon. So Cyber Darkness or Cyber Dark Dragon can become this by tributing them if they have End Dragon equipped. Unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. Towers. Once per turn, equip one monster in your graveyard to this card. In either graveyard, sorry, to this card. This card can attack a number of times each battle phase, up to the number of equipped cards equipped to it. So, honestly, talking about how, like, the original Cyber Dark Dragon was not a payoff, this is a payoff. This is a guy who can get multiple attacks, at least, obviously at least one. By the way, this does mean if you don't have any cards equipped, it can't attack. Just to let you know, remind you, you got to set it up.
Funny. Why not?
It is one of those funny cases, but it does work on either graveyard, so you can snipe, and you can presumably play other cards that can work with it. I think Super Strident Blaze works because it just says equipped to a machine monster, a machine fusion. It is kind of sort of a contact fuse. Or you can just fuse it the old-fashioned way if you have those guys lying around. And it is unaffected. And it's a fucking 5k beater. So, like, they've done a decent attempt. And I think this is, like, if you're playing the Cyberdark style, this is a worthy payoff to fire through and, like, give you a big guy. Is it, as good as some of the tricks you can make with, Cyber Style on its own? Maybe not, but, like, if you power bond this guy, like we said, because you can, do Chimera to banish monsters as well, he's, like, 10k. If you can attack twice with 10k, that's pretty cracked. Like, it's got use, and it may stick around because it's unaffected by activated effects, so it's, like, really hard to get rid of once it hits the board. I think the only thing you can do is, like, do something like Daruma Karma Cannon shit, because this card would not be flipped face down because it's unaffected, but then Karma Cannon says if there are face-up monsters after this card was flipped, your opponent sends them to graveyard, which gets around it, but still. There are ways, but they're tough. So, it's a big bungler. It's a big bonkler. And I mentioned this before, but much like Power Bond, because we're going to move into the 4 Cyberdark spell traps so we can get out of here. Cyberdarks have a fusion spell already that was inherently. It's just very specific. And it is also a title card. But it didn't come out in that set. So, also, this is one of those funny, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Trivia cards. We're going to pull up Cyberdark Impacto! Because it has an exclamation point. It is one of the few Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that has an exclamation point. The card art is kind of boring because it just shows the Cyberdark monsters all fusing together.
If we go by Edo Pro, if you just look up exclamation point and search it, there are 138 cards that have exclamation point, but 90% of them are normal monsters, but they just have exclamation point in the flavor text.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget this card exists routinely. The Go DDD Divine Zero King Raid, which is supposed to be
one of the greatest names
God.
ever. Yeah. But yeah, so
it's supposed to be God DDD, but
yes.
we couldn't say God.
We had to put some punctuation in there to mix it up.
Yeah.
So Cyberdark Impact, which has the exclamation point in Japanese, is I think probably named after the set Cyberdark Impact, but it came out later. At least I think. Let's see. Cyberdark Impact was printed. Yeah, I mean, it had to come out later because Cyberdark Impact had the Cyberdark cards in it. But that was the second booster in Series 5. Tactical Evolution was the 5th core in Series 5. So yeah, like 3 sets later. But what Cyberdark Impact does is it's a very simple spell, and honestly, that's why you don't see it anymore because it only has one use. This just says Fusion Summon Cyberdark Dragon from your extra deck by shuffling Horn, Edge, and Keel from your hand, field, or graveyard into the deck as fusion material. Honestly, for 2007? Yeah, 2007? Pretty good archetypal fusion spell. Shuffle back from hand, field, or graveyard, even if it can only summon one guy specifically. Like, this, especially because you have a Cyberdark Spell Trap Searcher, this card is not terrible. I think there are better ways to cheat out and get to Cyberdark Dragon so that you can then, or even skip that so you go the route where you, like, send Cyber End Dragon to graveyard, summon Cyberdarkness Dragon with 5 mats, and then just equip and tribute kind of a thing.
Yeah, this is one of those cards that, like you said that this was what year did this come out in?
07.
07? Oh yeah, this card is insane by 07 standards. But it can be printed because it's Cyberdark.
Yeah, because it summons Cyberdark Dragon, exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, good on them for trying so hard to push Cyberdark Dragon to be good. And like I said, there's a reason why I think people, wanted Cyberdark to be good. Like, the reason why that Cyberdark Strike deck exists is because the OCG held a poll for, like, what people wanted out of a certain number of options, mind you, what people wanted as a structure deck, and Cyber Style specifically won. And so they included both some Cyber Dragon support, but also some Cyber Dark support. Like, I think people wanted this deck to be good because you look at it and you go, oh shit, this could be something. We've got some, we have the ingredients to cook. We just need better recipes. And so, yeah, like, Cyber Dark Impact is like one of those cards that makes you go, hold on a minute, this card is an archetypal fusion spell, which eventually became searchable, that does nothing but turbo out their boss monster, but it turbos it out really good? Like, there are decks to this day that don't have archetypal fusion spells this good. I will stand by the fact that these days, Red Eyes Fusion is actually a terrible spell for the Red Eyes deck, because it locks you out of special summoning. Like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, like, I like, the reason Cyber Style got the vote, I think, like you said, like people, like, for all the shit Cyberdark gets, people don't like the archetype because of the field potential. I feel like, yeah, people shit on it because just because there are so many inherent flaws in the design, not because it's like not because it's stupid or anything. Like people make fun of all the mechanical miscues.
Yeah. Like, and we've even ourselves have said straight up, like, well, guess what? That, you know, the if it was like level 4 dragons, this deck could have been cooking a lot better.
Yeah, and I don't think that would have saved it from being suddenly the best deck ever or playable, but it could have had legs to stand on, maybe.
Yeah. So next, this is another odd one. This was in the original run of Legendary Duelists, which is, you know, one of their anime support sets. This card is Cyberdark Inferno. This is the field spell. Yeah,
Where
I
they
know.
are truly flashbang by like Cyber Dark Dragon is just flashing us with his claw.
They are truly they are truly creations of hell.
Or this could be a reference to that time that there were some duels in a volcano.
That too.
Who knows?
Probably
There was active volcanoes on the Duel Academy Island. That's not a hazard for all those school children. Anyway, Cyberdark Inferno is a field spell. It's one of those ones that's weird, but this was 2017, and so thus primo field spell that fixes everything time. So first of all, notice how we mentioned this before. So the way the equip effect on Cyberdarks work is that they are protected from battle but not effects. So first line, Cyberdark effect monsters you control that equip with the equip card can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and your opponent can't target them with card effects. So just get around that. You can target a Cyberdark monster you control, return it to hand, then immediately after this card resolves, normal summon a Cyberdark monster. You can use this effect to Cyberdark Inferno once per turn. If this card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, add a polymerization or fusion spell from your deck to your hand. So I think the thing that kills this is because it was only 2017, they were like, no, we can't print a Power Bond Searcher. Like, obviously, you can still use Poly, you can still use Overload Fusion. I think this card would be really great for the archetype if it let you add Cyberdark Impact or Power Bond specifically. It's still a really good, if you're playing Cyberdarks, you should still play the field spell. You get Destruction and Targeting Protection. It also lets you reset your guys, because this is another thing we didn't really talk about, talking about how the effects are, like, also problematic. All the original Cyberdarks only proc on normal summon. So if you special them out, you don't get to add. But this lets you recycle them once per turn. And if your opponent goes out of their way to pop it, you get to add a fusion spell. It's still good, especially because, as we said, like, Cyberload Fusion is a card that exists. Overload Fusion is a card that exists. Regular Poly exists. You have targets for this, but the fact that it doesn't pick up the like, other archetypal spells that fuse is a little sad, but still really strong card. You know, like, they, once again, came out swinging with this support. They're trying. And here's a we're gonna pull up another Cyberdark card. This came out in the structure deck that is truly an attack on me personally. When the card art comes out, this is the card art for Cyberdark Invasion. Which is also very clearly referencing a thing that happens in the anime.
Red Eyes!
Yeah. Sadly, Red Eye's getting got.
Red
State of the world.
Red Eyes looks so fucking tiny compared to Cyber Dark Dragon.
Yeah, I don't actually... Because Red Eyes is actually
it's
usually still pretty big.
Yeah.
I guess Cyberdark is supposed to just be that large. But yeah.
Cyber Dragon is huge.
True. Like, I think as we go up in levels... It's a thing. So... Step number one, this is a continuous trap card, which has normally been a bad sign, but this does have a few things. One, once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. You can target a Cyberdark effect monster you control, equip a dragon or machine from either graveyard to it as an equip spell that gives it 1,000 attack. This, by the way, still means that I think you might still be able to get some attack modulation from some of the Cyberdark effects, but not all of them, because they're not being equipped by their own effect. But still, it lets you equip more guys. Send one equip spell attached to a machine monster you control to the graveyard. Destroy a card your opponent controls. You can only use each effect once per turn. So it's a soft once per turn, and you can only use each effect once per turn. And this does, I think, solve the problem we talked about with Cyber Dark End Dragon, where hypothetically it has nothing equipped. It can make no attacks. Yeah. I think these days, like, because this came out in 2021, for giving them a continuous trap card, It's a good guy. Because it lets you send
like,
pop.
This is around the same time frame where they're like remaking the Malefics and stuff. Like early 2020 was basically the era of Konami going, hey, we made a lot of really bad anime archetypes. We're just going to inject adrenaline straight into all these archetypes' arms, like right into the veins. We're just gonna give them like 5 shots of ketamine.
Yeah.
It's like they may not be competitive, but we're gonna make sure this deck does something now.
Yeah. So they gave it some extra gas in the form of Invasion, which, like I said, does actually do things. The equipable nature gives you some stuff to go on. Our next card, which is funnily enough was called Cyberdark World in the OCG. They went for Realm in the TCG. Not sure why. That may have been a dubbing decision again. This is a card that I think if Inferno hadn't been printed before it as a field spell, they would have printed it as a field spell, but it's a continuous spell instead. And I'll pull up the card art. The card art's not super impressive. It's basically supposed to be, I think, the Cyberdark's version of Cyber Network. But this is another card that was added in the structure deck that really makes this one tick. So, like I said, art-wise, just kind of there. It's another one that's
dark cyberspace.
Yeah, it's good, and like I said, it looks like the dark version of Network, but otherwise it's just like, hey, little did we know, the Cyberdarks are all capsule machine prizes. Whoops.
I mean, this may be the same premise as Network. I like this way more. I don't know why.
It's probably like the color scheme.
It's got cyber fragmentation.
Maybe. It's kind of the inverse color scheme of Network, and I think I think like the purple as the main color just looks a lot better than like light blue as the main color, the purple as the accent. Maybe, I don't know. Just feels
but also,
nicer.
Spoilers, this is another card that is good. If you're running Cyberdarks, you're running this. So, first of all, it's a continuous spell that says, when this card is activated, add a Cyberdark from your deck to your hand. Cyberdark monster. With a different name from cards in your graveyard, so it's just one of your searchers. During your main phase, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Cyberdark. Just gives you an extra normal for Cyberdarks.
Why not?
On top of the fact that technically you can also get a not an extra normal, but you can get a replacement normal off the field spell. You can only use the previous effect of Cyberdark Realm once per turn. If you equip a monster from your graveyard by the effect of a Cyberdark monster that activated when it was normal or special summoned, you can equip it from your opponent's graveyard instead. You only activate one realm per turn. So now we are fully in the zone of, like, okay, you can just equip from your opponent's graveyard. It doesn't have to be your graveyard.
Yeah, because, again, like, I forgot, we didn't touch on this. In the MS, the Cyberdarks could take from either graveyard, which is why Reaper's Judgment was played by Zane. So he could make your opponent's, like the monsters in his opponent's graveyard dragons, and take the best one.
Yeah.
Because in the TCG, or in the card game, they're your graveyard, not either graveyard, which makes sense in theory. But there's nothing really that should have stopped them from making either graveyard. Because
I think it was just just an oddball case where they just didn't do that kind of thing right at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. On Twitter just saw that they've announced they're doing a premiere video on the 7th for Tamlin Cup, so that'll probably be this Friday. But yeah, no, the Realm just lets you do it because I think, like I said, at the time they just didn't do taking your opponent's monsters from graveyard like that. So now they just kind of resets it to where it is. Also, it's a searcher. Also, it's an extra normal. Like, it does 5 more things to the deck. And like I said, if they didn't already have a field spell that did something you needed, this would absolutely be a field spell.
It tucks you in bed at night, kisses you goodnight.
Well, we all might use a little bit of that tonight. But yeah, no, this is like, yes, God forbid, like, Architect in chat talking about dragons that were strong back in the day. Imagine being able to suck up your opponent's, like, Dad in Graveyard or Judgment Dragon or other, like, big bungus assholes like that.
Oh, well, yeah, but that would have only been the fusion monster, which I think is fair to do that because, like, the main deck guys are level 4 or lower.
Yeah.
But I would have been totally fine with the fusion, I would have been totally fine with the fusion being able to nab up your opponent's big guys because you're giving them a reward for playing the bad Cyberdarks.
Yeah. And now, like I said, we've reached a point where, like, no, there's no... I mean, the original Cyberdarks are still quote-unquote bad, but we've built enough of a deck around them that, like, you are no longer being punished for playing them. You have a good strategy that is built around them.
They were elevated from bad to inoptimal, but I mean, you have to play them. Yeah. So, you know.
They're names you require. So like the whole deck comes together to form this interesting whole that is a different strategy. Like Cyber Darkness Dragon, you know, is a negate. Cyber Dark End Dragon is a towers. Like they play differently than how pure Cyber Style does, but you still have some utility. And as I think I said on the Cyber Style episode a couple of weeks ago, it's still flexible enough you can run either on their own. I think you still have to run, because you want to make or dump End Dragon in your graveyard, you have to run some number of regular vanilla Cyber Style cards in the Cyber Dark deck, but they can stand alone as separate decks or combined that give you different options. And, you know, all kinds of, like, you know, crazy stuff going on. So, like, they've come around to both being a perfectly functional, funny deck that can do stuff. And, like I said, it's very interesting that, like, honestly, I don't think Cyberdark really needs anything to make it better. I think they've done a good job of, like, making it more impressive. I guess, if anything, there's a need for cards other than Dragonroid to, like, whatchamacallit, bridge the Cyrus side, because he did end up using those cards as well. But, like, Cyberdark, I think, has all the pieces to do stuff. There's still things you could give them. Like, they don't have, you know, like a funny archetype counter trap card that most archetypes these days get, or other shit like that. Like, it's a really...
I guess Cyberdark versions of Ice, Infinity, and Nova, and I guess Infinite Impermanence.
Yeah, that could be funny. I honestly, a smaller fusion target that's not needing exactly, you know, Cyber End and Cyber Dark to, like, that's like the twin version could be useful. Other shit like that, you know, like there is combination for new cards, but they don't need them. I do think that actual Cyber probably does need a little bit of polish, just because, like, even with all their new support, Cyber Dragon's plan is just turbo out a end or twin with doubled attack and win. Which is not bad, you know. Like I said, Tempai is a really strong deck right now. That's most plan is just, what if I attacked a bunch of times and synchro summoned in the battle phase? What would you do then? You know. So, like, I think there's room for Cyber Simplicity, but
that could be a name of a card.
It's true, it could. I didn't really intend it that way, but yeah, like, I think there's room for, like, Cyber Dragons to have more payoff, basically, because I think the big thing is that, like, their only new extra deck monster, unless you count Cyber Dark End Dragon, is like Eternity Dragon, which, like we said, is cool, but is also really situational. So like giving them some different extra deck payoff could be interesting. I think I said in our Cyber style episode that I would like a Link 3 or 4 for Cyber Dragons. You know, like the twin or end version of the Link's climb could be good to give them some extra oomph. But Cyberdark is in a really interesting place where like I think it's playable. I think it's good as a rogue deck. And I think there's a lot that can be said for like really funny play that like does this kind of stuff. But yeah, that is about gonna wrap.
It's one of those decks. It's one of those decks that just just due to some of the cards, it's just always going to be a deck that exists. Like I remember when I was in high school in like 2014, 2015. There was a handful of people who played Yu-Gi-Oh! like never competitively. This is like when I played competitively. Like I was like really into it. And there was just a Cyber Dragon guy. Like there's just a guy who's like he pet decked Cyber Dragons. Like he had all these like he basically just had like a spruced up structure deck. Like that spruced up 2014 structure deck. And I mean I would like bring different decks sometimes, like just like I would never bring like the deck that I would take to every locals, but I would just stick around and bring shit. And Cyber Dragon's like competent enough that it'll steal games just because it can OTK you from nowhere.
Yeah, it's just one of those decks where you get in the position and you can just be super cooked, basically. But yeah, so let me grab the...
What's left?
Nothing. We're done.
Oh.
I'm looking at future shit.
I bet actually on the topic of that, actually, it's a bring up.
Yeah, what's up?
When's the last time you've just world build loudly on stream?
World build loudly on stream? Basically never.
Think you could do that for like, if we ever do that of Yu-Gi-Oh! As an option on the poll?
No, I don't think so.
Card game edition? Okay. Damn. Well, I tried.
I mean, honestly, I think we do that enough here anyway.
It's mostly just me.
Well, we discussed stuff, though. Let's see, where am I? So, Cyberdark did kind of do that sort of thing. Or Cyber Style, I should say, do that sort of thing with structure decks, so we can, bring in some other stuff here. But, that's kind of the spot we're on, is we're talking about either, like, structure deck vibes, or that means specific archetypes. We talked about, like, Rock in the past. We've talked about Dino.
Last night, we just sparked a quick little like conversation about a handful of like not like basically like kind of going over like a handful of like iconic cards from a format of such like a GOAT episode.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of cards in GOAT format that just don't fit anywhere into a proper like archetype or series of cards do, and we can just kind of grab a bunch of random little cards and just discuss a format for a few hours.
I also liked you also brought up just talk about like the history of Dark Warrior, because that has been such a like long running weird deck thing that's existed. Like it's just been a thing. So our next option for structure deck theme stuff is, like I said, we could take a diversion into the history of Dark Warrior period. That could probably work. The next structure deck, because I think the last one we talked about that was actually structure deck was Invincible Fortress. So next would be Lord of the Storm, which would be technically Simurgh, because that's when they put Simurgh Bird of Divinity, but they turned that into an archetype much later. So we get to look at kind of the history of Wind decks and Simurgh.
Simurgh could be a fun one to break down just because of like
be weird.
Like Simurgh as an archetype does kind of just
exists.
like he just kind of devolves in a weird way. Like I still remember that like one of the Simorgs is just like anti-flip monster for no reason.
Dark Simorg is just your opponent can't set cards. And then
it's like
big one, comes together, but
like Dark Simorg for when you really need to just.
As I've learned, in slower formats, Dark Simorg is just annoying because it means that you have no way to just protect yourself directly.
Well, it's an instant win against the most powerful deck of all. It's Ghost Trick. It's an instant win.
So I'm double checking this on the wiki. This is a really funny thing because, like, according to the wiki, timing this out, Simorg received its first cards in Lord of the Storm. That's when Bird of Divinity came out, and it was just a guy, right? It was just a boss monster for winged beast decks. But it was, and Dark Simorg came out somewhere in there as well in like the period when we were making dark versions of monsters. But Simorg did not become an archetype until Rising Rampage in 2019. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's like a very interesting curve of like we put out a couple of Simorg type cards early, and then we decided they should be an archetype, which even then became problematic. We would also probably have to talk about, which is funny because we talked about Cyberdark Impact, today. Also have to talk about Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, like how a winged beast barrier statue is so problematic. In a way that several other barrier statues are not. So yeah, that could be a fun one to do to break up some stuff. Like I said, we can also probably tuck in a Dark Warrior. The Patreon poll is up. I accidentally took it a couple of days, but you still got full days to get in there. Your options are Ancient Warriors. My pick was Chem Critter / Gemini stuff in general, because we're already getting a little weird. Loth put forward Lord of D. I also decided to package the Divine Dragons in there, because there's only a few of them too, and they kind of interact with like King Dragon and stuff. So that'll be a very interesting one to talk about all those guys.
I hope you put all the versions of the Song of Summoning Dragon in there.
Yeah, that'll also, because that's like the flute is directly related, and so like I think Awakening also works. Axe picked Millennium. I also decided to tech in Forbidden One there because I don't think we've ever talked about Exodia and the other guys related as well. And the Millennium deck, as it's shaping up now, kind of forks into also being a Forbidden One deck. So it'd be good to talk about them all at once. And Mark still suggested Prime, the Rush Duel deck.
I'll be fully transparent, Zed. I referenced Dark Simorg because there was one time that I built a ninja deck in 5 minutes just to own Robin, who was playing Ghost Tricks at a time. I just slapped that shit together just to own Robin.
Okay.
It was the stupidest. It was just, I don't know. It was the Simorgs are funny little dudes.
Actually, this is a good question for Marth specifically, if we've done it or not. But if we do, we may need to revisit. Have we ever done ninjas? I should put that in a poll. I feel like we have to have because we all like ninjas.
I don't know if we did like the modern ninja.
It might have been long enough ago that we missed out on some of the support, but like, there's a lot of fun ninja cards, and I don't know if we talked about like.
I feel like we have because I vividly remember us talking about. Oh wait, no. I
just played ninja decks, so we talked about those. But like, did we ever talk about the guy that's a reference to a Konami game back in the day?
Mars says ninjas no. Okay, we'll keep that in mind for future as well. That might be an upcoming
like,
for another week because like
guy that was like, Goemon. I thought we covered the guy that was based off Goemon.
I don't think so. We've mentioned there's that one guy before, but there's
I guess I've just seen them enough because I played a ninja deck.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ninja cards, so that could be another good one to put in the tank.
I actually have played most of those. It's not greatest, but they're fun.
So they're very cool, very neato.
There are iterations.
What was Rising Rampage when we got the Simorg link that definitely didn't break wins forever?
I'm gonna guess probably because it's the Link era. I'll check if it came out exactly in that. Let me see. Link Monsters.
I had it pulled out.
Oh, God. Well, it released Appaloosa, which is also painful, but let's see. Marincess.
I do not see them.
Labyrinth.
I do not see it in Rising Rampage. It might have been in Battle of Chaos then.
Let's see. Moving into Chaos Impacto. Unchained. Oh, no. Let me just look it up. Simorg Link. Is it Sovereignty? Yes, Sovereignty was printed in Dual Overload, because of course it was.
Yeah, it could have been a case where like Robin's saying like there was a point where I think we had like a rambling on ninjas at some point during a prog episode, but that was definitely before we got like that was definitely before that was definitely before the current phase of ninjas where they're
we played prog long enough to go through a couple of the waves of ninja support. So like there's still a lot of options out there. But yeah, so we'll put that in a canon. Yeah, no, Bird of Sovereignty didn't come out until Dual Overload, because of course it didn't.
Why not? Yeah.
But it is funny because, as I brought up earlier, Rising Rampage, the set that the Simorg became an actual archetype, included Appaloosa and several other links you see to this day. So that's pretty funny.
Like a whole last decade between Simorg, the concept of Simorg the card, and no, it's an archetype now. Why? I don't know. Why not?
We remembered it existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll crack that one out. And we'll get on with you. My only last thought to you, because we've been here for almost 3.5 hours and we need to get out of here, is everybody, stay safe, stay cool tonight. I know there's a lot of stuff going on. Trust me, even if the worst happens, the sun will still rise tomorrow, and we can figure that shit out. But also, it's not over till it's over. If you're not American, make sure to check in on your favorite Americans, because we're going through it right now.
Yeah. I have actively avoided looking at any numbers just because there's really no point looking until it's over.
Wait till it's over.
To let everybody know, in case anybody tries to pull this disinformation trick on you, there is a well-documented effect known for years called the blue shift or the red mirage. Just because of the way poll reporting and ballot checking works, polls tend to trend Republican early and then smooth out later as absentee and mail-in ballots get tabulated later. It's one of those things, like I said, and some of these contested states, even if they go one way, that means the other side's going to fight about it for forever. So, we're going to be here for a while. Honestly, I as much as I, want to stay informed and plugged in, I feel like I have at several times been more stressed tonight by checking numbers. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, so I leave you in peace. Like I said, wish everybody a happy night, and like I said, stay cool. We'll see what's up, and we'll keep on going. And like I said, tomorrow the sun will still rise, and you can check out the Fail Portrayal poll. Right now, Lord of D Divine Dragons is winning with 4 votes, but only by 1. Millennium is at 3. So there's some wiggling room, and you got about 10 days before that poll closes. But I'm going to let you guys go now. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry if the stream was extra scuffed. The number of dropped frames has gone down to 69. Nice. Not sure why, but like I said, definitely there couldn't be anything going on the internet right now that's gooping up all the tubes. So we'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning in. It will also probably still be gooey, but we should be back with Final Fantasy XIV tomorrow. What will we do? I don't heckin' know. Oh, and also because it's the first time I've been on stream to talk about it, just to say. Lucky and I skipped Monday because, like I said, my stream is still gooey, and we're not sure what we're doing next. We're thinking about a couple things. I posted a tweet about it. If you have suggestions, hit us up with them on Discord and whatnot. I'll talk to you guys later. Good night, everybody.